2 laps on schedule for the Xfinity Series. But before we get underway with that, let's go trackside for our pre-race ceremonies.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, please rise and remove your hats as the Chemung Schuyler Cadet Squadron and the New York State Troopers present our nation's colors. Remain standing as Reverend David Fife of Bentley Creek Wesleyan Church offers today's invocation.
Let us pray. Once again, O God, we thank you for this wonderful weather that you've provided for this year's running of the Zippo 200. We ask your blessing and protection upon each driver, each crew member, each course worker, and grant us a safe race, and help us, Lord, to remember that all good things do indeed come from you. Amen.
Now, here to honor America with the singing of our national anthem, please welcome Nashville recording artist Electra Mustaine.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streamed, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, they proved through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Justin Allgaier, Ty Dillon, drivers climbing into their cars, wanting to have a shot at the championship like Daniel Suarez and Elliott Sadler, as well as Eric Jones. Drivers that are already in the chase. Could someone join them today?
the man. You gotta beat the man.
The winningest driver in Xfinity Series history.
Can anybody slow down Kyle Busch?
You beat the best, baby. You just beat Kyle Busch, man.
To be the best, you have to beat the best. And that is where the drivers are today. Watkins Glen International, the best of the best in the field for today's Xfinity Series race from the Glen. For more of the storylines today, let's go trackside. We start with Mike Massaro. Sorry, Dave.
Hey, Rick, I'll take it from here. And the 6 of Darrell Wallace Jr. told us in Countdown how he has improved by maybe 2 seconds or more in his lap times here at the Glen. Part of that is having a teammate to, quote, lean on. Trevor Bayne is in the race, too. Trevor is a full-time Sprint Cup Series driver, and that has helped Darrell Wallace Jr. get around these 2.5 miles even quicker all weekend. Parker Kligerman.
Ty Dillon will be starting 8th, but that will be without crew chief Nick Harrison, who's out with a personal matter. In his place, race engineer Danny Eflin. Ty told me last week showed that we can compete with the Gibbs cars, but it's the road courses that we can beat them. And the last time that Danny filled in for Nick, they finished 2nd. Mike?
Parker, before the season even began, Kyle Busch pulled his crew chief Chris Gale aside and told him we need to win 3 races: Atlanta, Las Vegas, and Watkins Glen. Atlanta and Las Vegas, they're already in the win column. Just 1 remaining. Watkins Glen, he's looking for his first career Xfinity Series win here at this racetrack as he rolls off 5th this afternoon. Marty?
Mike, when the Xfinity Series schedule comes out at the beginning of every year, Joey Logano has 1 race on top of his request list, and that's Watkins Glen. He told me running in the Xfinity Series helps him out in the Cup Series so much. Just knowing braking points and things like that really help him on Sunday. Time for the command to get the engines fired.
Race fans, it's time for those most famous words in motorsports. Here to give the command, please welcome our Grand Marshals, Private Caitlin Stanton and Private Lakeisha Snyder.
Drivers, start your engines!
Get fired up here whenever you're ready. Just fired up there when you're ready. Check when you're ready. Fire in the hole. Fire when you're ready.
40 drivers firing up their cars. 40 cars coming to life. Drivers strapped in, getting ready for 82 laps from the Glen. When we come back, the green flag will fly on road course racing. NASCAR on CNBC is brought to you by Credit One Bank, the official credit card of NASCAR, and by Toyota. Let's go places. Nerves always on edge when we come to the road courses. Around goes Regan Smith after the contact.
I got a real problem with all of RCR today. We're fighting all of them.
I was going to talk to him about it, but I guess he didn't want to talk. So if he wants to do that, meet him in the bus line, we'll handle it.
Hey, you are going into the wall so hard.
I might have lost the championship today, but he sure as hell did too. There's zero chance that 3-car wins this championship.
How long do you hold a grudge? That is the question that we ask drivers all the time. That was a year ago. The two drivers not happy with each other, and Ty Dillon back in this field for today's race. Take a look at the starting grid. Up front, it is the Penske duo of Joey Logano and Brad Keselowski. Joey Logano won this race from the pole a year ago.
And right behind him in row 2, Paul Menard, who won earlier this year at Road America, starting next to Kyle Larson, looking for his first road course win.
Two Joe Gibbs Racing teammates make up row 3. Kyle Busch looking for his 4th straight win. Daniel Suarez, who's yet to score a top 10 in 3 road course starts.
Back in row 4, it's Trevor Bayne and Ty Dillon. The 24-year-old out of Welcome, North Carolina, finished top 10 in all 3 road course races last year.
Yeah, row 5 is made up of junior motorsports teammates Justin Allgaier and Elliott Sadler.
In row 6, we have Darrell Wallace Jr., who's finished in the top 10 in the last 2 road course races, and Brendan Gaughan, who won the road course race at Road America in 2014.
Back in row 7, it's Eric Jones and Blake Cook. Eric Jones has never raced on a road course in the Xfinity Series, and this is his worst start of 2016.
Yeah, row 8, a lot of pressure on Jeremy Clemens. He's 13th in the chase standings, starting next to Brendan Poole.
Row 9, we have 2-time K&N East winner here at Watkins Glen, Scott Heckert, starting next to Ross Chastain.
Back in row 10, it's Ryan Reed and J.J. Yaley. Ryan Reed, the 22-year-old out of Bakersfield, California. He finished top 10 in 2 of the last 5 races of this season.
Yeah, 2 guys making their first Xfinity Watkins Glen starts. In row 11 is Ryan Preece and Brandon Jones.
In row 12, we had Kenny Habul making his 13th start, all on road courses in the Xfinity Series, and the 21 of Spencer Gallagher.
Back in row 13, it's Ryan Sieg and local favorite, Todd Bodine out of Chemung, New York. 3-time runner-up at Watkins Glen.
Row 14, Garrett Smithley has never raced an Xfinity car on a road course, starting next to Dakota Armstrong.
In row 15, we have Tommy Dreese, the 2009 Trans Am champ, starting next to our 2000 Xfinity champion, Jeff Green.
Back in row 16, it's Stanton Barrett, who, when he's not behind the wheel of a race car, is a Hollywood stuntman, and T.J. Bell, who has a road course background.
Row 17, we have Ray Black Jr. starting next to road course ringer and instructor Chris Cook.
Row 18, we have Cody Ware, whose career best finish came 15th at a road course at Mid-Ohio, starting next to Nick Hammond.
Back in row 19, it's Joey Gase and Ryan Ellis. Joey Gase currently 19th on the chase standings list.
And in row 20, B.J. McLeod and the Daytona 500 winner from 1990, Derek Cope.
As the cars are rolling around the track, let's see if we can chat with Eric Jones. Let's get him on the radio, Jeff.
Hey, Eric, it's Jeff in the NASCAR NBC booth. You with us? Hey, Eric, it's Jeff up in the booth. You with us?
Yeah, 10-4. I got you.
Well, you've won 3 races so far this year. Tell us the challenges of making this the 4th.
Well, there's a lot of challenges. This is my first time here. Only my 2nd road course I've ever been to. First time in an Xfinity car on a road course. So just trying to figure it out. I feel like I learned a lot from yesterday. I went and talked to Kyle, watched some more film, and everything made a little bit more sense. So hopefully I can apply that today and get the GameStop Camry up towards the front. It's going to be tough to win, but I think we can get up in the top 5 and have a really solid run.
Well, coming here for the first time, where do you think the most difficult part of the racetrack is?
I'd say by far the bus stop and the carousel has been the toughest part for me to figure out. Just trying to figure out how to make speed and not feel so out of control through there is not easy. So working on that and still trying to find more speed through those 2 sections.
All right, well, good luck, and thanks for letting us ride along.
And again, Eric Jones will start back in the 13th spot today. Leading the field is the 2016 Toyota Camry. That's the official pace car for today's race. We have the opportunity to ride along with a few different drivers today. One of those being Kenny Habul in the number 88. He has the Sun Energy in-car camera, and he will start 19th today. With the Sunoco onboard camera, Blake Cook in that number 11 will start 14th back in row 7. With the Toyota onboard camera, Eric Jones also in row 7, starting 13th. And starting up on the front row with the Ford in-car camera is the 22 of Brad Keselowski. And let's go back to pit road and Marty Snyder.
Rick, hard to believe, but Team Penske does not have a win in the Xfinity Series in 2016. Brian Wilson, the crew chief for this 22 team, told me, I'm tired of being asked, when is that first win going to come? He said, honestly, I think it could come today. We have the two best cars in the field between Joey Logano and Brad Keselowski, and we have the track position to pay it off with. So they start up front and see if Team Penske can get win number 1 of 2016 today. Mike?
Marty, although Paul Menard does not run very many Xfinity Series races, he has a very familiar face atop his pit box today. That would be Justin Alexander, a man who was his crew chief in the Sprint Cup Series all of last year and up until last week. His new assignment with his Xfinity Series team. Alexander told me before the race today, he said it's been since 2006 he's crew chiefed on this side of things. He's had to spend a lot of time getting acclimated to these cars and this style of racing, but he feels like they've got a very good race car and can give him a machine that Menard can use to get to the front and possibly win today. Dave?
Justin Marks shares the 42 car with Kyle Larson. Justin and his wife Erin had an inkling. They had a baby yesterday. So Justin is at home watching, welcoming Presley into the world to join her little sister. As for the driver of the 42 today, that will be Kyle Larson. And his goal, win the race today and get more experience, because tomorrow he's going to try to help put his cup chances closer to the chase. Parker?
When Justin Allgaier and I were teammates at Team Penske a couple years ago, he didn't always look forward to going to road courses. He didn't even have a lot of experience at them. But fast forward a couple years, and there's absolute bounce in his step. He loves coming to road courses, and it shows in the numbers. 7 of his last starts have been top 10s at road courses, and his last win came at Montreal, also a road course.
So we'll look to him as far as one of the guys that will try to get past Logano, Keselowski, and Kyle Busch, who we know will be running up front. Our aerial coverage provided by our partners at Smithfield Foods, and it will be a great vantage point that we will be able to look at some of the areas where there will be passing. Turn number 1, the bus stop coming out of the carousel. As we look at the race analysis, this race is 82 laps. It's 209.9 miles. Pit road speed 40 miles per hour. That fuel window 28 to 30, and every time you come to a road course, Steve, you always tell us to look backwards from the end of the race all the way to the front.
Yeah, Rick, the goal is to be on pit road under green, get your stop done, get back on the racetrack before the caution comes out and the rest of the field needs to pit. That's how you get your track position. Well, how do you do that? You just do the math from the end of the race backwards, but these teams won't just do simple math. They'll gamble. How many caution laps will they get in each run? How far can they stretch each tank?
So could we see someone coming to pit road as early as, say, lap 22?
I would expect earlier. I think 22 is the safe bet. If you look at the math, and you can run 30 laps on each tank. 22 gets you to 52, which gets you to the race distance of 82. So I expect cars to hit pit road maybe even as early as lap 16 or 17 and gamble on cautions. Remember, aggressive pit strategy keeps being redefined every time we go to these racetracks. What we think is aggressive this race will just be normal the next race. These crew chiefs come up with new ways to be aggressive on pit road.
Let's dive into this particular track. 2.45 miles. There's a lot of elevation change. Let's look at the track map.
Yeah, this is a very difficult racetrack. It's a very fast racetrack. Look at the long straightaways. You have 3 very long straightaways, and they all lead to passing zones. So it's so important to be able to get off the corners well that lead to the braking zone. So You can see right now we're on the front straightaway. This is the start-finish line right here. You're looking into turn 1. So we're going to see on the start of this race, they're going to flare out, trying to take track position. You have to downshift into second, which is very difficult because it's downhill and you tend to get a little wheel hop. Use all of this apron leaving the racetrack, trying to set up for the S's.
Yeah, and then you have turn 2 right here, the bottom of the hill, the beginning of the S's. You start to climb the hill, turning right through turn 2, and then you have to make that hard left back for turn 3, all while trying to stay wide open for turn 4, the top S, which leads you into the high-speed back straightaway.
And it's so important to stay wide open because, again, we lead to a braking zone. It leads from 175 mile an hour, maybe 180, into a place where you have to get slowed way down. So this is the inner loop. Some people call it the bus stop. You can see the curb on the right by the barrier, just beyond the Sunoco sign. You want all 4 wheels on that. Hit the left curb, hit the next left curb, and all 4 wheels on the last right curb, setting up for this long right-hand corner.
Well, you can say it's long. It's a long, sweeping right-hander downhill through the carousel, and it's a very important corner because it comes to the second longest straightaway, the second fastest part of the racetrack, heading into turn 6, which is the third and really the final passing zone of the lap. You try to outbrake into the left-hander of turn 6 to clear the competitor, move to the right over that curb, have to get back to the left side of the track to set up for turn 7, the last right-hander leading onto the front straightaway.
And as you leave turn 7, again, now we're talking about a passing zone, so you have to leave that corner well. You leave there in third, you leave there in second and shift to third. A lot of action into turn 1.
Looking back on the field as they're coming at us, one of the drivers in the front row, driver of the 22, Brad Keselowski, this is what they had to say on the radio.
Have a good time. 4. See you guys on pit road. Be ready for, if I see something, I'm going to come down pit road, see something on the track, so be ready in case I try to surprise you. Hope I won't, but I might. Either way, we've seen it a few times, and looking forward to a great day. It's nice to have both passenger cars back up on the front row where we belong. Keep them up there.
And I think one of the surprising things has been that Penske hasn't won in 2016, even with the impressive driver lineup that they have between Joey Logano and Brad Keselowski. Joey Logano a year ago from the pole was able to get the win. Logano and Penske. Keselowski. Penske duo, green flag in the air. We're road course racing from Watkins Glen. Two and 3 wide, trying to come up through the S's. Logano with a great start out in front. He and Brad Keselowski have separated themselves. Paul Menard's dropped back to 4th. Trying to hang on to that, but may lose that spot as well as Kyle Busch gets by. Wow. Menard into the dirt.
Yeah, that was really, think about the splitter on the front of the car. That dug into that splitter. I wonder if there's any damage there.
Yeah, and that all started with the 18 pulling to the driver's right of Paul Menard, outbraking him into the bus stop. I thought the 18 gave Paul Menard enough room, but he had a hard time making the left-hand turn into the bus stop.
It's so difficult as you go through the S's and you're hitting all those curves. Those curves really move the car left and right. I mean, you can hit them and it just moves the car. So it doesn't appear to be any major damage, though, Menard's car.
Well, the other concern is not just the splitter, Jeff, but how about the cooling? Where did all that dirt go? Did it go up inside the ductwork and maybe fill the radiator up with dirt and grass?
Keep an eye on the temperature of that 27. Did the same thing in Cup qualifying earlier today.
Yeah, I feel the 18 gave him enough room. It's just the 2 got in there at the bad angle and just misjudged the entry. Got off the driver's left into the curb, or excuse me, into the dirt.
As to your point, the spotter for Paul Menard just came over the radio and said, "I'm going to check your grill, but I think you're fine."
So they'll be keeping an eye on the front of that 27 for Paul Menard. Logano out front, Brad Keselowski running second, Kyle Larson, Kyle Busch, Paul Menard the top 5. It is Daniel Suarez, Trevor Bayne, Ty Dillon, Justin Allgaier, and Darrell Wallace Jr. Bubba running in the top 10.
And then 18 at Kyle Busch, Rick. He's putting the pressure on quick. We saw him last lap past Paul Menard. Now he's right on the rear bumper of Kyle Larson.
Coming up to a passing zone as they enter turn 6.
I think back to yesterday when we interviewed Kyle Busch after qualifying. He qualified 5th, and his answer about this qualifying effort was it was horrible. So it was terrible. We had the fastest car here in Race Trail, and we're starting 5th, and he was very upset, but even through that interview where he was upset, you could tell he had confidence in his car's ability to run well in race trim. So he's going to have his work cut out for him catching those Penske guys, but he had a lot of confidence going into the race.
Yeah, Jeff, when you talk about this track and how you make lap time here, that's even a little bit different than how you race. So you see Kyle Busch right there, right up on the back bumper of the 42 into turn 1. Well, up here through the S's, this is not a passing opportunity. This is setting up a passing opportunity into the bus stop, Rick. So you're going to see the 18 right here try to time his run off this right-hand S, get a run of the rear bumper of the 42, maybe try to jump to the right and outbrake him into the bus stop.
Into the bus stop, not this time for Kyle Busch. Larson a little bit wide there in the bus stop. That sets up an opportunity. Busch looks to the inside as they go to the carousel.
You don't think of this as an opportunity to pass without a mistake, but that's just what Kyle Busch capitalized on, was a mistake by Kyle Larson in the 42. You saw, Rick, you're really sideways in the middle of that bus stop.
And now Paul Menard, he's looking at it saying, hey, this is a chance for me as well. So try to catch Kyle Larson where he's out of sync, and he's just not in the rhythm he needs to be in after making that mistake. This is a tough place to pass also into turn 7. If you make that move, you have to make it early. But right now, Paul Menard's looking and saying, can I pull out here into 1? It's not close enough to do it.
Kyle Busch has already won 7 races in the 2016 season, looking for his 8th, but it would be 4 consecutive wins. He won the last 3 races. For his 4th consecutive.
Rick, Kyle Larson's already given up a position and maybe more. One of the reasons right through that section there, the fastest portion of the racetrack, the S's, he says, I'm very, very loose. And remember, in qualifying just a little while ago for the Sprint Cup Series, that was an area that he struggled with. Right now, the car's not under him.
It's so difficult, Rick. You're trying to run through those S's basically wide open through that middle S. But you know how it is, Jeff. Not only is it blind, but you're turning back to the left. It almost feels off-cambered. There's just so little grip when you struggle with a loose race car there.
And it kills all the momentum.
It does.
Again, we talked about these straightaways. When you don't get up that part of the racetrack well, it just kills your back straightaway speed.
So Team Penske out in front with Logano and Brad Keselowski. And we heard the pep talk from Brad Keselowski to his team, mentioning how the 2 cars running well and starting up front, now separating themselves from 3rd place Kyle Busch. A little over 2.5 seconds now, the gap between 2nd and 3rd. Kyle Busch, Kyle Larson, and Paul Menard, the top 5. It's been all Joey Logano. A year ago, Team Penske led 79 of the 82 laps here, and they're continuing that today as Menard does a little gardening in the bus stop. Watch every Xfinity Series race with the NBC Sports app and get closer with additional camera angles, driver stats, and track information. It's available on mobile, tablet, and connected TVs. Download the app. Find out more at NBCSports.com/live. And welcome back to the NASCAR Xfinity Series Zippo 200 at the Glen. Still out front, it's the 12 of Joey Logano. Brad Keselowski running second, but a little hairy through the bus stop for another driver. Take a look at the 4 of Ross Chastain. A wild ride here.
That's not the only time we're going to see this. You see basically 2 wide into the bus stop. We know how difficult that is. The 11 kind of catches the curve, has no choice but to jump to the right, gets into the left side door of Chastain. Chastain does a great job of staying in the gas, keeps driving it. Jeff, luckily there's pavement out there that used to be gravel. And that pavement allows that 4 to stay in the gas and rejoin the racetrack.
Look at the 4 Chastain trying to get back on the racetrack. How rough it is. He almost didn't lose a spot. I mean, he almost made the pass work.
And with those 2 drivers, the 11 and the 4, they're 12th and 14th right now in the chase standings. So big implications as far as if they could get into the chase. They've got to be in the top 12. Brad Keselowski currently second, chasing after Joey Logano. How aggressive does Brad Keselowski want to be as he gets really wide coming down to the carousel?
Wow. Not that aggressive.
Wow. And lost the spot to Kyle Busch.
He's going to lose another spot. Nope, he's going to protect on the 42. 42 is still going to attack right here. We've seen some passes in that area, but it's a very difficult place to compete a pass.
Yeah, that's a really difficult place to repeat the pass, because to make that pass happen, because you're not expecting it as a driver. You're not expecting someone to jump out right there. So when we do see those passes, it's tough. 22 loose right in the middle of the corner. Just continued all the way off the corner. He's in the throttle right there to keep him from spinning out. That's just hustling. That's just trying to keep up with your teammate, trying to stay close to Joey Logano, leaving the corner to set up the pass into 6. So the only way to stay close is try to run a little quicker than he is to beat him off of the corner to get some momentum going.
And his only comment after that, Jeff, was, wow, I can't believe I saved that. Pretty incredible save by Brad Keselowski.
And, we've talked about this all weekend and heard from drivers, Rick, about this tire. Goodyear had to bring a very durable tire because of this repave, and it doesn't have that forgiveness. When you have a softer tire, Jeff, you can slide it and feel where the grip is. There's harder tire, there's grip, and when the grip goes away, it goes away in such a moment that the car really goes up and out of the groove, and that's what we saw with the 22, although he's trying to collect himself here under attack from the 42 of Kyle Larson.
Kyle Larson trying to do everything he can to get by that 22.
He is pushing hard.
Larson all over the back bumper, hoping that Brad will make another mistake. That's how Brad has dropped back to the 3rd position. Kyle Busch took 2nd away. Down the hill as they get ready to come back up through the S's. A little issue with Ray Black Jr. in the 07. He also sliding through the bus stop.
Wisely bails out to the right. He saw the pavement over there. That was a good place to go. Unfortunately, the pavement comes to an end right there, and he has to go through the grass.
Back out on track, though. There's a little distance being put now between Brad and Kyle. And another one through the dirt. That time it's Joey Logano that makes a mistake in the bus stop.
And it looks like the 12.
And now the caution comes out. And they're calling it debris in the inner loop. I'm guessing that debris could also be called dirt.
So the question is did Joey Logano put the debris on the inner loop, or was the debris there before he got there, and that's why our leader went into the grass?
And is there enough dirt on the grill of Joey Logano to force him to pit right here? You heard talk about, check the grill, but that could be an issue.
There's a lot of dirt out there, a lot of dirt and grass that they're going to go and clean off of the racetrack. But that's from a few different drivers that have just missed the entry to that bus stop. And again, they're going from 170 miles an hour down to about 90.
Yeah, you see right here, the 0 goes straight through the bus stop. That is definitely where the debris came from. Yeah. Spread grass and dirt all over, and then the leader, Joey Logano, comes off in there after. And you see how the 14 has to go up. This is going to happen continually, all race long.
What's lap 10? We've seen it 4 times already.
Tommy Dreese in the 14 able to get through there, but it was Joey Logano who went a little off course, going through a little debris in the bus stop. Welcome back to Watkins Glen. Big implications here for the win, the 18 of Kyle Busch on pit road. Mike.
He had been running second to this point, but there's a problem with the splitter. It feels like it is falling down. You can see it now. It has definitely lost its logic on the front of that race car. They're trying to make a repair here on pit road, trying to lose as little track position as possible. Obviously, it is something that they did not anticipate. Kyle had a very fast race car. We had talked all about the curbs being much higher here as a result of the repaving. That could have been one of the reasons why this happened. He was very aggressive through the curbing and damage to the front splitter. Rick?
Yeah, a lot of damage, and I know that both Jeff and Steve were wondering how they were going to be able to fix that. Big issues for the 18 team and Kyle Busch. Get your NASCAR coverage when you're on the go with NASCAR Mobile. It's the official app of NASCAR. It puts race coverage and live in-car cameras right at your fingertips. You can also listen to drivers and team strategy. You can download free at NASCAR.com/mobile. And the inner loop definitely has been the most eventful today, and probably the cause of the 18's issues because of how rough these curbs are.
Well, you have to use the curbs, and the reason why is you have to try to straighten out this corner. So this is the curb as you enter the inner loop, and you want to try to be as close to this blue wall as you can possibly be to set up for these two curbs. Well, now on this left-hander, you just try to not really hit this curb quite as hard as you want to. Same with this left-hander. But look at the height of these curbs. They're tall, but they're also aggressive. So if you hit them too hard, your car bottoms out on them, hits it very hard, and potentially can damage stuff. But if you miss that first one, if you don't do the first one right, then it makes you hit the second one even harder, and now you're out of control. But this is why there's so many teams and drivers have trouble with the inner loop.
And let's be clear, Jeff, the curbs are big and rough for a reason. Because if they were smooth, then the inner loop would be even easier to go through. The driver to straighten it up even more. Remember, the curbs are there to keep the drivers on the racetrack. The problem is the drivers have learned and the teams have learned that the fast way through this area is to use the curbs. You just have to be very careful. We've seen the 18 have heavy damage to the splitter already. We'll have to see if that repair can hold.
Because of the dirt that was out there, we saw the 12 of Joey Logano get offline through the bus stop and have trouble with those curbs. Here's what they had to say on the radio.
Many cars have blowed this bus stop. There's not much grass left. I think they're just plowing dirt. Grass has more grip than the dirt. It is ugly behind you. Copy.
He's got to be thankful that he's out front, even though he did feel the remnants of what someone else had put out there on the racetrack, the dirt that was put out on the track, and we saw Joey Logano get offline. But Joey Logano's still out front. Joey has led all 12 of the laps that have been complete with 70 laps to go. Brad Keselowski second now as Kyle Busch has come back to pit road. And with more on the 12, we go to Marty.
And Rick, it's funny, his team told Joey Logano there's a little bit of grass in the inner loop, and he went through it and went offline. He said that was more than a little bit of grass. That was everywhere. And one of the cool things is, Joey and I were talking before the race, he said, it's great for Brad and I to run this race for Team Penske. We get experience, but the pit crews, they get experience too. Remember, you pit, in essence, backwards here at Watkins Glen. Like you don't normally pit. The cars will come down pit road from the other side, so that's critical. These crews getting some experience today as well for tomorrow. Rick?
Some teams taking advantage of the caution and coming to pit road. 2x2, green flag back in the air. Joey Logano, another great restart on the inside of that first row. Brad Keselowski on the outside trying to hang on to the position. A little contact there. Keselowski way up the racetrack. Kyle Larson got into the side of it.
Here, 3 wide, 3.
At 42 of Kyle Larson got into the side of the 22. And that sent Brad Keselowski flying past the curve. So that moves Daniel Suarez up a spot.
Brendan Gaughan making it 3 wide. Look at the move in the inner loop. He picked up 3 spots in one move.
Great run into that braking zone.
As we see more cars through the dirt and the grass.
Cutting it off, trying to go as straight as they can through the bus stop. And around goes the 90. It's Todd Bodine, as well as the 77 of TJ Bell. And the 70 has to stop behind him. That's Derek Cope. TJ Bell still not rolling.
On a road course, NASCAR will give them a lot of time to try to get going. They don't want to throw the caution if they don't have to.
Can't get it started.
A little bit of grass out there on the track too, but the field just coming down the front straight. Just as they came out of the bus stop. And now the caution has come out. The 77 still is yet to fire.
It's hard to tell what happened there, but you have to assume they went through the inner loop side by side, and it's barely enough room for one car, much less 2.
I want to take a look at the restart and what happened with Brad Keselowski as he was going into turn 1. White car on the outside. 42 gets into the side of him.
I think everybody's battling just to be as low as you can through the middle of 1 to help set yourself up for corner exit. Just right along.
Outside with the 42. 42 by himself, line up behind you. Still on your right. Right, clear to get down. Inside, 3 wide top. 3 wide, gonna transition here. 3 wide, 3 wide, 3 wide, 2 wide. Opening behind the 2.
What makes that even more impressive is you hear that spotter tell Brad he's 2 and 3 wide. The view from the spotters into that area of the racetrack is so difficult. That was a good job communicating to get Brad Keselowski back in line.
Second caution has come out at the Glen. The second caution for the Xfinity Series from Watkins Glen. Tomorrow, it's the Sprint Cup Series. Countdown to green at 2 o'clock and 2:30. Green flag flying from the Glen. USA Network is where you'll find us tomorrow. We will take a look at this, the second and final road course race for the Cup Series.
Rick, this is a very unique time for the caution. It's going to be decision time. Who comes to pit road? We see our leader, Joey Logano, take that hard ride onto pit road.
So Joey Logano choosing to come to pit road, as does Brad Keselowski, Larson, Menard, Dave.
Larson gives up 5th place. Rick, he's going to get a track bar adjustment for a loose race car, take 4 of his Goodyear tires for the day, and pack it full of Sunoco fuel. Marty?
Joe Logano, the leader, coming down pit road. Greg Irwin, his crew chief, said we're just barely inside of our window, but we're going to take advantage here. It's going to be 4 Goodyear tires and an air pressure adjustment. He said the car is a little bit loose in the right-handers and also loose in the bus stop. Also, Brad Keselowski, his teammate, fitting as well for 4 Goodyear tires as well. He said the track actually got tighter the longer he ran. He said the track was taking rubber very well. Of those who hit it, Eric Jones wins the race off pit road.
And that's interesting that Keselowski said the track got tighter because we saw him as loose as you can possibly be coming out of the carousel. We'll be right back for the start.
He pitted earlier. He pitted earlier.
Yeah, the one pitted.
NASCAR Drive is NASCAR.com's live race day companion. Select your in-car video or camera angle, access integrated driver stats, lap-by-lap commentary, and social conversation in real time. You don't want to miss a lap when you visit NASCAR.com/drive on your personal computer now. Welcome back to the NASCAR Xfinity Series Zippo 200 at the Glen. Joey Logano choosing to come to pit road. That leaves the 19 of Daniel Suarez out on the track and the new race leader.
Yeah, Rick, now it's totally new. It only took 16 laps to have the field completely split with strategies. You see right here, Daniel Suarez will be starting on the front row beside the 60 of Trevor Bayne. They've yet to come to pit road. You see the 3, the 62, also yet to come to pit road. The 7 and the 48 have yet to pit. The 1 back here in row 4, he came to pit road, 1 caution to go, and then a few rows behind that are some of the Penske cars and the cars we saw leading earlier.
It'll get hairy once again as we get into turn number 1. They come up to the restart zone. It's Daniel Suarez on the inside, Trevor Bayne on the outside. Green flag back in the air.
Oh, Allgaier with a problem. Missed a shift.
He drops back. Brendan Gaughan. Great restart right on the back bumper of Ty Dillon. Dillon's going to move up to second. Trevor Bayne loses a spot as they go up through the S's.
Yeah, that 7 of Justin Allgaier, you mentioned how he didn't get accelerating, but he did a great job carrying momentum into turn 1.
NASCAR's taking a look at that restart, making sure everyone was in line when they came to the start-finish line.
See Brendan Gaughan, the black and yellow car, missed the top of the S's.
Oh, around goes. Big accident. The 14 involved. Looks like Kyle Busch might have been at the front end of that. Tommy Dreese in the 14.
And this is so fast and so narrow, Rick. This is what happens. There's just no room. You see big damage on the 18 of Kyle Busch. He's going to go behind the wall. He's had enough. His day's done. The 11, big chase implications in the 11.
Now look at this. Darrell Wallace Jr. in the 6. Huge damage to the front end.
And he has no choice but to stop if he doesn't have any oil pressure. I can't tell if it's leaking fluid, but you got to be very careful.
He probably can't see. The way the hood's been up, probably can't see over the hood.
He's going to try to find his way back to pit road.
And a lot of times we'll see drivers continue to drive as we look at the 90 of Todd Bodine. Also, big contact here.
And this is a road course, and we think about road courses not being very fast, but this racetrack is exceptionally fast. And going up the S's, you know, there's guardrail on both sides. When the wreck starts, there's nowhere to go, and you're going at a high rate of speed. So we've seen major impacts. One wreck start, and everybody piled into it because there's no escape zone.
Well, the other issue with no escape zone is I think they're going to have to red flag the field, Rick, because there's just nowhere for the cars to go up through the S's with the tracks virtually blocked. You see, I mean, there's nowhere for the cars to go. Look at just the damage and debris all over the racetrack.
Clements trying to get through there in the 51. That's Jeremy Clements. But we are hearing that they are going to stop the field after they get through turn 1. That's up through the S's, and so many times we continue to mention it's a blind turn. These guys cannot see where they're headed, and it gets very narrow up here at this point. Take another look at what happens.
Wow, you see the 90.
Big contact from the 90.
Yeah, you have to believe there was contact from behind or something happened. The angle at which he was heading to the wall. Severe change of directions quickly.
Drivers trying to get through after all of that took place, but the 90 got into the wall, bounced back out onto the racetrack.
Oh, and the 18 had it completely stopped until the 11 comes spinning back across the racetrack and made big contact with the left rear of the 18.
Red flag is out. We look once again. So much damage to so many cars. Again, so tight in that area. It's right along with the 11.
Looking to your left. Looking to your left. Clear. Got you right here. Back it down, back it down, back it down, back it down, back it down.
When you hear a driver say, his hands off the wheel, you hear a driver say he had nowhere to go.
We got damage.
There's
We definitely got
absolutely
damage.
nothing he could have done different.
Front, right front. Tip in your hole. Everybody to garage stall. Everybody to garage stall.
Talking about all the damage to the car. Another look. as they go up through the S's. Again, the 90 sideways there and then pointed back the other direction.
To a Menard barely gets by to driver's left. Look how fast these cars are coming right here at real speed.
It's so hard to tell what started all this.
There was damage to the back of the 90. Not sure if that happened prior to him getting right and into the wall or after the fact.
I don't know, you saw him loose getting up the hill, and I don't know when he got loose, he slowed down, and the guys behind him ran into the back of him, and that's what turned him right. It's just so hard to tell.
Look at the dejected look on Blake Cook's body as he just exhales disappointment.
And remember, he's 12th in our playoff standings, so that's a team that just can't afford to have these races. He has 24 points ahead of Clemens, who is in 13th, but that has major implications in regard to who's going to make this chase.
Darrell Wallace Jr. involved, Blake Cook, Tommy Dreese, Scott Heckert, Kyle Busch, J.J. Yaley. So much damage to the front end of the 90. And we've seen accidents like this happen before at this racetrack. When the cars hit these walls and bounce back out into the line of traffic, collecting numerous other cars after the fact. I want to listen into the 39 of Ryan Sieg, their radio on what just took place.
Yeah, I was inside. He come across the nose. Yeah, nothing you could do there. He didn't know which lane he was in. You had nothing you could do, bud.
So Ryan Sieg saying he was on the inside and thinking that the 90 came across his nose, and that might be why we saw that 90 turn so hard right into the wall. And again, you mentioned how difficult that is for spotters. That's an area where the spotters just cannot see very well because of the fact that they're coming up the hill and there's trees in the area too from where the spotter stand is above the grandstands.
Yeah, when the spotter's on top of the grandstands, they can get a driver into turn one, even across from turn one to turn two. But as these cars start to go up through the S's, not only are they between two narrow guardrails that limit the view, but then there are also buildings, trees, there's a set of grandstands up the S's. So there's just a lot of things in the line of sight between the front grandstands and the S's.
There's those grandstands. And some actually spotters will stand up. They have multiple spotters around the racetrack. Some will stand on the grandstands just to do additional spotting.
Yeah, when you talk about how narrow this racetrack is, and especially up through the S's, you have guardrail on both sides of the racetrack. We could see the wrecker couldn't. It was so narrow that the wrecker couldn't get behind the Todd Bodine's car to get it hooked up. So they're having to pull the car forward to get it hooked up, and that's a great sign. And that really is clear how narrow it is. They had to pull the 90 car to this direction to get him hooked up, and two cars wrecked in there side by side. They just completely blocked the racetrack.
Quite a few involved. First time since 1997 there were 3 cautions before lap 20 here. Could it be the new asphalt or the new repave? Definitely not enough room for as many cars trying to get through the area. Welcome back. A red flag condition at Watkins Glen for the Xfinity Series race, as big accident coming up through the S's. And while they're cleaning that up, let's go into the garage and hear from Dave.
Caught up with Bubba Wallace, who has made it all the way back here to the Xfinity Series garage. What part of that mess did you see?
All I see is we got bad luck, and it's getting old, my friend. So just unfortunate for really my team. We come here, and I messed up first lap and first practice we had, and then we were sitting pretty for the rest of the weekend. But just getting old, Dave. Go on to Mid-Ohio, I think, and try for best of luck there. But thanks, Cheez-It. Just a bummer. I hate it.
All right, out early today, and of course can't afford the points loss. Was really to the good, over 90 points, Rick, when he came in today, but these hits are hard.
Absolutely, as Darrell Wallace Jr. trying to make the chase, and numerous hits. Once again, the 90 of Todd Bodine into the right side wall, and so you see a lot of the damage to the front of that race car as they're putting it on the rollback. We have an opportunity to talk to one of the drivers while this red flag condition is underway. Let's see if we can chat with Kenny Habul.
Hey, Kenny, it's Jeff up in the booth. You with us?
Hey, guys, how are you?
We're doing good. We're actually wondering how you're doing.
Mate, you wouldn't believe it. You'd think they're racing for sheep stations out here. I can't believe it. 10 laps in, they're driving like bloody maniacs.
I'm sorry. They're racing for what?
Racing for sheep stations.
He is from Sydney, Australia, by the way.
Okay, we're going to go with that. So tell us, you're a part-time racer, and you come race with us on the road courses. Tell us how it's going today, and tell us the challenge of only racing a few times a year.
Well, it's not easy when you jump out of an air-conditioned office into, something that's 140 degrees. And I can tell you, I love Goodyear, but, mate, they got the Fred Flintstone specials on with these tyres. They are absolutely rock hard, and it's just devastating.
So you say the tires are really, really hard. Tell us why that makes it difficult to drive the car.
Well, there's just really no grip for the first 3 laps. Very, very skaty. I mean, the worst that I've ever seen in 20 years of racing. And then, unfortunately, even when they come in, you still have very limited grip. So we're going to be skating around a lot of the day.
Well, we're going to be riding along with you watching, so keep it on track. We'll be paying attention.
Thanks, guys.
So a sheep station is a large property in Australia or New Zealand whose main activity is raising sheep for wool and meat. So that, I believe, gives you the heads up on what Kenny was saying.
A great prize.
Exactly.
I assume where he was going with that.
Thank you, Rick, because I was not knowing what that meant. I appreciate it.
I love talking to Kenny, and he said, he part-time races. He's, his company, Sun Energy One, is on the car. We also see it on Chase Elliott's car in the Sprint Cup Series. It's great to see a company involved in the sport, but it's definitely just shows you the depth of the field. For someone who has road course experience like Kenny Habul, for him to jump in this car and try to compete with these Xfinity regulars on Saturday is very difficult.
And he talked about Goodyear and how hard the tires were. Well, that's a direct relationship to the pavement. If Goodyear comes with a tire that feels really good, it'll last maybe 15 laps and it'll fail. So anytime we see a repave, Goodyear has to come with a tire that's very, very hard. If not, the tire will fail. So you'd rather have a tire that skates around for a little while, then eventually makes grip, than having a tire that will ultimately go flat or wear out.
Let's go down to Parker Kligerman.
Thanks, Rick. I'm here at the Medical Center with Blake Cook. A hard hit for you, bud, but also in the chase standings. What's going through your mind?
Yeah, just points. That's the only thing going through my mind from the first impact. All I thought was points. So it's not good, but I made a mistake early on and lost a bunch of spots and kind of got us back there. So that kind of started it. So I just got to be a little bit smarter at these road courses, stay on the track. But, man, I just hate it for everybody and the points. All my guys working so hard, but definitely got to thank Leaf Filter just for making it possible for me to be out here.
And how do you rebound from a situation like this, going through a hard wreck like this, also the point situation, and we're going to another road course?
Man, I don't know yet. I've never been in this situation, so we're just probably going to go to the next track and do the best we can and just be smart and take what it gives us.
10-4. Well, Blake Cook was 24 to the good coming in today.
Let's take a look at the chase standings in the Xfinity Series. Once again, new this year is the chase for the Xfinity Series as well as the Camping World Truck Series. But the chase standings now, as we just heard from Blake Cook, he was only 12 points above Dakota Armstrong, who's in 13th. So Blake Cook currently in, but again, every position on the racetrack is 1 point. So with Blake Cook out of the car and out of the race, he could be losing very valuable points today.
Yeah, you see Dakota Armstrong, he's still on the racetrack in 16th. As we move our way down to Jeremy Clemens, he's off the racetrack having trouble, so he's already 8 laps down. So this is going to be a tight battle.
With more on Jeremy Clements, let's go back to Parker.
Well, Jeremy Clements, we saw what actually happened to Kyle Busch earlier in the race where he had his splitter come off. Well, Jeremy Clements' car also fell victim to these big curves. He had a track bar mount break earlier in the race. They had to get in the garage, repair that, and get back out. I'm also here with Todd Bodine at the medical center. Todd, a very vicious hit for you. Only one start this year here. You do this every year now. What do you see out there?
Well, I didn't see anything because it was behind me. They said the 39 running the back of me at the top of the S's. I thought I had it saved, and I don't know if I just overcorrected or what, but it turned it right out in the outside wall, and it was a pretty hard hit. Man, I hate it. It was a full-blown road race car for Bobby Dotter, and it was a great race car, and I was just trying to get out of the way here. I knew the faster cars were coming, and that restart was crazy, 3 wide all the way into the bottom of the S, and, you know, you got to – you know, I know these young kids are trying hard to race and get up front and make a name, and Ryan's done a great job. I told him, we rode around together before the race in the truck, and I told him what a great job he's been doing, but you got to think. You got to, you know, restarts and being all them cars going every which way, all over the place, just going up the hill, sometimes you got to give. You know, you can't always take, you got to give a lot in this sport, and I think that was probably one time he needed to give and didn't, so we got a wrecked race car, and I hate it. You know, this is kind of a hometown deal here. All our sponsors were right here in the Chemung Valley, and Scott Welliver, who got me started in racing, put this whole thing together, and we had 8 different companies on here, and it was going to be a lot of fun, and they're all here watching, and I hate that we're crashed, and I mean, the car's junk. It's totally ruined, so I hate that for Bobby.
An unfortunate end for Todd Bodine, a two-time Truck Series champion. Rick?
Yeah, good. You still got a smile on his face. Again, one of the local favorites here from Chemung, New York, in the area, and so a difficult ending for his day. They continue with the cleanup from this. Big hit by Todd Bodine, and then collecting quite a few drivers in this one. NASCAR on CNBC is brought to you by Ford. We go further so you can. And by XFINITY. Change the way you experience TV with XFINITY X1. Marcus Lemonis has invested over $35 million to save small businesses, and this season the numbers will continue to grow. The profit returns Tuesday, August 23rd at 10 p.m. only on CNBC. Let's go to Dave Burns.
Rick, Garrett Smithley's trying to maintain his reputation in this series. He's never had to drop out of a race before it ended. But what happened to you here? Because you missed all that mess over there, but this happened just before that.
Yeah, luckily we missed that wreck. We were racing hard with the 28 and the 14. Just learning, getting maximum amount of laps. And 28 checked up a little bit, and I had to avoid him and just went off. And unfortunately kind of dipped into the wet grass. So JD Motorsports crew is going to work really hard. I hate it for these guys. There's we got 13, 14 guys working on 3 cars, and this kind of sets us back. So hopefully we can get it fixed and pass some of those guys that were in that big wreck.
What have you learned so far this weekend on the road course?
Not over driving it. Maintaining those shift points. Really just staying focused every single lap. I love road racing. I haven't been able to do it a lot, but coming to the Xfinity Series and doing this at Watkins Glen, we got 2 more of these. So hopefully we'll get a little bit better next week at Mid-Ohio and stay on track.
Got to apply what you know, Rick, and unfortunately the damage got him today. They're going to try to get back out, though. They're working on it.
Sure, they're working on the front of that car. We just saw the augering in, going through the bus stop there, and the dirt the damage that had been done to the front. Really pretty close call, though, for Brad Keselowski on this most recent wreck, though.
Yeah, when we talk pit strategy, we're going to talk it all day long. What's the right pit strategy to be on? Well, the risk of pit strategy is this. You see the 22 right here, center your frame to the left of the 90. As they climb through the S's, he barely clears the 90 into this left S right before the 90 and 39 make contact, and the whole accident starts. So that's the 22 there. Just barely being clear of the accident. Brad Keselowski has a car that we think can compete for the win. When you pick a pit strategy, Marty, you have to be careful, because the risk is if you go back in traffic, you can easily be caught up in one of these accidents.
Well, that's one of the things you have to consider, Steve. You also have to consider what your teammate is doing as well, especially when Team Penske hasn't won this year. Here's what Brad Keselowski had to say on the radio a moment ago.
Moving forward, hedge our bets here on these wrecks and so forth. Is there any way to change strategies from that? Copy that. There's really only 3 good cars left, us 2 and the 42. Yes, sir. I guess the flip side of that, if we keep wrecking like this, we may not have any bad cars to cause us caution.
And Brad also said on the radio, we need to do what we can do to get off of the same strategy as our teammate Joey Logano. So sometimes as teammates, you want to go different directions, don't you, Steve, to make sure the company wins?
Well, yeah, especially when you have 2 cars that are good enough to win. But I like what Brad's saying there. What I hear him telling his crew chief is, I know we pitted maybe right on our window or a little short of our window. I'm not sure, A, how many more cautions we're going to get, or B, whether we want to be back here in case there is caution. So maybe we'll see them pit here when this race restarts. They're a little bit later into this fuel run. That would guarantee that they can make the race maybe on one more stop without any risk.
Brad Keselowski mentioned the good cars, and he brought up the 12, obviously the 22, the 42, another good car that ends into the 62 of Brendan Gaughan, currently in the 4th position. Can we talk to him, Jeff?
Hey, Brendan, it's Jeff. You with us?
Yes, sir. I'm waving, but I got no camera, so hi.
Well, we'll pretend we can see you then, okay? So, hey, listen, you're 4th. You've worked your way up to 4th. You did not pit. What is your strategy here, and when do you guys think you will pit?
Shane and I had we had a strategy from the get-go with the South Point Chevy. We're looking around lap 25 or so. We wanted to stay in front of that 12 car as long as we can, and then hopefully come in under green and get our fuel and tires on and keep running from there. The key is to stay in front of those 2 fast Penske Fords and see if I can't keep up front this whole day.
Well, Brendan, we saw you win at Road America in a road course race. Tell us what is so different about road course racing and why it's difficult.
I grew up road course racing, and it's so much fun, Jeff, especially at a place like Watkins Glen. You guys talk about it on TV all the time. This is the super speedway of road courses. The rolling corner speed we have here is not like any other road course in the country. This place is super fast, but it takes a little bit more of a technical, ability. You got to be a little more precise on your marks. You got to be able to deal with, you blew this corner, you didn't do well, so you have to forget about it, get to the next corner, and make up for it. So a lot of mental, toughness goes into road racing, and a lot of precision that some days you just don't have to worry about so much on an oval.
Talk to us about the restarts for just a minute and how chaotic that can be.
I love restarts. I don't care if it's an oval, a road course. I have always loved restarts. I learned from some of the best. Ron Hornaday, Jack Sprague, those guys, the Truck Series. And here's no exception. Right now, these race cars right now, my Chevrolet and others I'm looking at, were real loose going up through the S's. So it's real tough on the restarts. But, man, you make a move out of turn one, get yourself where you're on the bottom of a couple wide, make a run, and head up the hill, and then you try to outbrake somebody into the bus stop. And, Jeff, you know this, when you're all bunched together on a restart, that's the best time to pass. I mean, you work your tail off to gain a few spots, and if you're nose to tail with somebody, outbrake them into a corner and take it.
Well, you say you love doing it. We love watching it. So we're going to watch the rest of the race and hope you have a good one.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
So Brendan Gaughan will be restarting fourth. Kyle Busch, his day has definitely not gone the way he had planned. After starting in the fourth position, Kyle Busch involved in incidents early. One of those being the splitter having a problem.
Just damage from the racetrack, whether it's going over the curbs or something on the car broke. For another reason, the splitter comes loose. You see it flapping down there, completely broke loose. The mounting brackets are still attached, so the bolts didn't fall out. The brackets themselves broke off the race car.
That was a very difficult fix because the brackets were broken. So you can see they're actually screwing the splitter to the nose, trying to get the nose to hold it all back up. And of course, they were on pit road, had to come to pit road a couple times to try to fix it.
Yeah, in Kyle Busch fashion, though, he's back through the curb a little bit, still being aggressive, working his way through traffic. And right here, he almost has the car stopped. And you're going to see the 11 spin around at the last minute and just catch the left rear quarter panel of the 18 right here.
So a lot of damage to that car. He took it behind the wall immediately.
Talk about little things that happen. When they first happen, you know it's a challenge, like the splitter breaking. You know you're going to have to fix it, but then you get behind everybody. You get behind the wreck. And now, had that not happened, you would have been ahead of the wreck. So something happens, it has a way of snowballing and making worse things happen.
And Rick, that's a point where we hear drivers a lot talk about bad luck. I've found in racing, sometimes you make your own luck. Keep your track position, keep on the aggressive strategies, not get back in the field, avoid accidents.
It's the sixth time that Busch has been in position to win 4 straight, but he failed to accomplish that feat. XFINITY Series cars rolling once again. Tomorrow, Sprint Cup Series, countdown to green at 2 o'clock on USA Network, as well as the race at 2:30. Again, USA Network is where you will find us and the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. Parker.
Hey, Rick,
We've noticed the massive crowd we have here today, and road course racing personally is one of my favorite races we do in NASCAR, but it shows with the fans we have here too. I'm down in turn 6 right now, and actually the grandstand behind me is completely packed. It's absolutely awesome to see this huge crowd here. They're going to start waving, start cheering. We've got fans in the fan zone. We've got fans out in the campers over here to the left. This place is absolutely packed for an Xfinity race. Really awesome to see. They love their road course racing.
Absolutely, and a great crowd again this year. Last year, a phenomenal crowd here. They just do a great job of putting on an incredible show.
Always a great environment here. You come in the infield and everybody's having a good time. Concerts during the night. I mean, this is a really fun place to come to a racetrack, come to a race, and you know, it's more than just a race. And these fans, I met some fans the other day. They've been coming for years. I think they've been coming for 12 years.
Yeah. And they're happy to be here. We're glad that they're with us. Again, great vantage points in different areas. Daniel Suarez decides to come to pit road, giving up the lead, Dave.
And for the first time today, he comes to pit road. So this will be a stop for just Sunoco fuel. No tire change. And the one of Elliott Sadler, he changed 4 tires when he came down on lap 11, so he won't change tires either.
Fuel strategy coming into play. Now there's 4 different pit strategies in play from Watkins Glen. Today's aerial coverage provided by our partners at Smithfield Foods. Welcome back to the NASCAR Xfinity Series Zippo 200 at the Glen. Let's go to Marty.
Dave, Ryan Sieg has come to pit road now that the red flag has been rescinded. They're trying to get this damage fixed on the 39 car, and we've talked about their position in the championship standings. Mike Ford, veteran crew chief, calling the shots, trying to get the team to get this done, but they are running out of time. You see the other cars coming to the green here, so it's going to be very tough to get this done. Dave?
So Marty, during this extended caution period, I've been on my Microsoft Surface checking a few things out. Remember we talked with Garrett Smithley in the 0 car. He's down in 17th, just off the chase grid, just a little bit, the chase grid standings. But over on the right, I've been looking at the damage of Kyle Busch's car. People back in the garage area there tweeting out the damage for it. And an interesting thing on that, the crew chief on the 18 car is Chris Gale. Right after all of that damage, he came out to pit road to talk to both the crew chiefs on the 20 car and to the crew chief on the 19 car. That is Scott Graves. He wanted to tell them exactly how to fix their splitters if the same thing happened to them. There are some things you can do and maybe some things you want to avoid. Chris Gale came all the way back to pit road to make sure his teammates knew.
So teams working together, trying to make sure that they learn. Ryan Sieg and the chase standings definitely important, as Ryan Sieg currently 10th, 51 points in front of Dakota Armstrong.
He's still on pit road right now, so as cars go around him, he's going to lose a lap. But it's better to sit there and fix it. It's better to just sit there and get it fixed right, so when you go back out, you don't have to pit on the green. Because if you pit on the green, you're going to lose much more than one lap, especially on this side of a racetrack. You have a lot of time to work on the race car, so
the wise thing to do is just sit there and fix it. Remember, a lot of people he's racing for in points, they're having trouble as well.
And we're only 20 laps into this race,
right?
Jeff, and we have a completely mixed up field. We have basically the front 6 cars: Ty Dillon, Bain, Brendan Gaughan, Brendan Poole, Justin Allgaier, Ryan Preece have all decided to stay on the racetrack, yet to come to pit road at lap 20. Right behind them, we have Joey Logano in the 12, Eric Jones in the 20, both pitted around lap 16, which we think is questionable on their fuel window. Maybe they're okay now with all these cautions. And then you look way back farther in the pack, you have Daniel Suarez currently running in 15th, Elliott Sadler in 16th, who pitted at lap 19. So, Rick, already 20 laps into the race, we have 3, possibly 4 pit strategies, and until we see when the caution comes out, we have no idea. There's your graphic at the top 10 cars. We have 4 different laps just in this 10 cars. Like I mentioned, we have a whole group that haven't pitted. Probably the fastest car in the field currently in Joey Logano, and he pitted at the 16th. As you go farther back in the field, you see around Daniel Suarez, you start to see lap 19, so they're a little better on fuel. I know that seems odd with 62 to go to start talking about pit strategy, but really the decisions very early in the race can kind of set the course for the entire race.
With 62 to go, the guys who just pitted potentially can make one more stop, correct? If they can go 30 to 31 laps.
And
what they're hoping.
That's what they're hoping. I expect Joey Logano, who pitted at lap 16, to try to only make one more stop. If he thought he couldn't do that, he would be on pit road now. But I like what Ty Dillon and Trevor Bayne are doing. Why it doesn't seem to make sense. Maybe they're not on the right strategy. We heard Brad Keselowski, Joey Logano's team, say, hey, we need to get off strategy.
Right.
Well, that's what these other teams are thinking. We need to get off strategy with that fast Penske Ford, and maybe something will fall our way.
Ty Dillon, who's up on the front row, his grandfather, Richard Childress, had this to say on the radio about their strategy.
I said, I just stick with my plan and be safe at the end. You know how to do it. Yeah, Jim Park, we'll take care of them. Crashes, stay on track all day. We'll be right here where we are with us at the end of this thing. You know, we finished 5th here once with your dad with the same strategy. Yeah, and he said he was going to finish 3rd if somebody didn't lay oil through the S. He tried to cowboy through it.
That sounds exactly like Mike Dillon, his father. He would have cowboyed through it. All right, 2x2 once again as they've come out of turn 7 and heading back into the restart zone. Ty Dillon, Trevor Bayne on the front row. Hard charging is the 12 of Joey Logano, making it 3 wide as they go into turn 1.
So difficult to get good acceleration off that inside curve, though. The 7 tries to close the door, but the 12 still kind of looking into the first S.
Now up through the S's. The most recent caution took place. See some of the speedy dry that's been put down as they work their way through that and onto this long back straightaway.
Jeff, I have to ask, with all that speedy dry down, do you have to baby through it the first time, or you can drive through there with confidence?
You have to trust NASCAR. They got the racetrack clean. They normally do a really good job of cleaning the racetrack up, so you have to trust them to just roll through it.
Everyone was able to get through the S's and now through the bus stop into the carousel, and Ty Dillon is going to have his hands full as Trevor Bayne all over the back bumper as they come into another braking zone.
He tied. Looked like he was going to take a little bit of defensive move, but ended up opening his entry up and did not do it. Didn't need to as the 60 wasn't close enough to him. And Brendan Gaughan way outside. Is he going to try to get on the inside of Bayne here?
Tries to, but can't make it work. Here comes Logano to the outside as they come through 7. Gaughan having to pinch that corner down just a little bit because he knew that Logano was on the outside as they enter 1, gone with the preferred line. Of Joey Logano rolls the high side, makes it work, and makes the pass on Brendan Gaughan.
All these guys that did not pit, they're going to be looking to pit relatively soon. We heard about lap 25. When we talked to Brendan Gaughan, I would expect 1 or 2 of them, though, to pit, maybe even a little before that.
And again, the strategy here is, at a road course, you would prefer to pit under green flag conditions as opposed to under a yellow flag.
Yeah, well, now that you have so many people that have already pitted, when the next caution comes out, are they going to pit? So in sitting out and waiting, you know, what it boils down to is what kind of fuel mileage can these guys that are around you, what kind of fuel mileage can they get as you see the 12 of Logano making a move.
And again, Logano has been on pit road, most recently on lap 16, racing against two guys that haven't been to pit road yet, in Ty Dillon and Trevor Bayne. Now Kyle Larson working the inside of Brendan Gaughan.
Gaughan did a really good job on the high side on the exit of 7 to be able to keep momentum and actually beat the 42 down the front straightaway.
And the 7 of Justin Allgaier is trying to follow that 42 through, but just couldn't get it down into turn 1 deep enough.
Dave. Brendan Poole on his scheduled pit stop for the 48 team will take 4 tires and a full fill of Sunoco fuel right now. He's having fun this weekend, his first road course, as I'm learning a lot, but he loves what he's doing. Just hopes he can keep it on the black all day, guys.
Battle for the lead. Joey Logano takes it away. Not much of a battle between he and the 3 of Ty Dillon. Trevor Bayne trying to get by for second now as Joey Logano, the strongest cars, not only in qualifying, but also at the beginning of this race, back out front.
And guys, the battle for second shaping up as well. You know, it's funny, Greg Irwin told Joey Logano, run hard until you get to the lead, and then at that point, Joey Logano can run the pace he wants. They fully believe they can make it in one more stop. Probably around lap 52 or so is when you'll see that 12-car pit. But Jeff, talk about that. Once you're in the lead, you can really kind of dictate the pace and save fuel as much as you want, can't you?
Oh yeah, now you're just driving out of your mirror. There's a pace you have to run to keep the guy behind you, you know, the distance behind you. So it's not about making lap time, it's just about the interval between you and second. That's what it's all about. As you see 3 wide and pare down to 2 wide into 1.
Flores and Justin Allgaier now fighting for position.
We talk about varying pit strategies. One thing I really like about the pit strategy of being conservative, running into your fuel window and being fine is like the 48. We just showed him on pit road. Well, when he left pit road, he's now basically in clean air, running by himself. Great opportunity to take care of your equipment, take care of your brakes. Remember, 82 laps is only 8 laps short of the Sprint Cup race. This is a long race for this Xfinity teammates. They have to learn how to take care of their equipment. So running some laps by yourself, Jeff, has to help the driver relax, his equipment, everything is easier.
It got you thinking about fuel mileage and pit strategy and fuel strategy at this course.
I mean, listen, if Joey Logano can pit on lap 16 and make it with only 1 more stop, then what is the advantage in pitting, you know, on lap 25 for these guys? I mean, that's a big difference. If they all only have to stop 1 more time, then that's a significant difference on fuel mileage.
And that would be a stretch, I would think, Steve. But they have to count on, they've got to count on cautions. I mean, they've got to believe that there's going to be more cautions if they think they can make it that far.
Well, they've already had quite a few yellows, and statistically there's more yellows in the second half of the race, although that's gone down some over the years since they've taken away some of the gravel traps, but still, you bank on yellows.
Yeah, and we talk about fuel mileage, and we talked about getting in the lead like Logano and then saving fuel. But if you're Kyle Larson, you know, running in 4th, you know, you need to be thinking about that too. Is the track position more important, or saving a little bit of fuel right here? So when you do pit at that last stop, you pit early enough where you can make it. So, you know, you have to be thinking about the end of the race right now.
Jeff, you see the 88 right here. We talked to Kenny Habul earlier. He has this awesome camera of his feet to show just what the drivers have to do to get around this road course.
Yeah, I love this Camry. On the brake, long right-hander. Give it as much throttle as soon as you can. Try to carry the speed. You know, watch him lift off the brake. Change gears. Did not use the clutch on the upshift. It's not required. Recommended, but not required. A little bit of throttle as he downshifted. There'll be no downshift here. You won't see the throttle. The car underneath him. Upshift in the 3rd. So he'll downshift in the 2nd as he approaches turn 1. Watch the throttle. As soon as he hits the throttle, that's his downshift.
Jeremy Clements in the 51 gets by him. You can see how much work they're having to do virtually every turn around this road course.
And you mentioned how difficult it was to run that harder Goodyear tire. He was having a hard time to find in the limit. You can almost see it in that throttle pedal. Just not a lot of confidence to really be aggressive with the throttle, Jeff.
This is for 4th, Kyle Larson and the 60 of Trevor Bayne. Larson has 3rd, Trevor Bayne back in 4th.
Wow, Larson came off the right hand of the carousel. How wide he was. That was just because he was carrying so much speed through the carousel. He had to use all the racetrack.
Now battle for 2nd heating up. Ty Dillon in front of Kyle Larson.
Larson's going to try to push and get by Ty Dillon because, you know, Larson's running against Joey Logano. They're on the same strategy. And right now, with Joey Logano's out there, as you see him at the bottom of your screen with the lead into turn 1, Larson's trying to gain ground on him as you see a few cars hit pit road.
Dave. Goodyear tires and Sunoco fuel for Brendan Gaughan. We talked to him in the caution break, the red flag break actually, a little bit past their original window because they were getting good mileage and they ran a couple laps under caution. Parker.
Justin Allgaier in the 7's coming on pit road there. You're going to do four Goodyear tires of Sunoco fuel. He had a problem under the restart shifting. Under the red flag, he tried to move the shifter boot out of the way so he could get it into second gear. Not a good problem to have here on the road course.
Again, because of the road course, the pit wall on the right side of the cars as opposed to the left. You'll see them fueling from the right side. We saw Brendan Gaughan actually do a reverse pit stop where they changed the right side tires first, then went to the outside of the car and changed the left side tires. Still heating up. Ty Dillon now has Trevor Bayne back behind him. That's for third as Larson was able to get by the 3.
We have to see this 3 come to pit road soon, and there he is. He's on the bottom of the racetrack, so the 3 of Ty Dillon will come to make his first pit stop of the day.
And it's 28 laps in. The fuel window between 28 and 30 laps. Parker.
You see Ty Dillon there. Remember racing without his crew chief, Nick Harrison, who's out on a personal matter. Danny Eflin, the race engineer, filling in. They're going to do 4 Goodyear tires and Sunoco fuel. He's been struggling being loose around the racetrack. But Danny, he said actually before the red flag, good job not pitting. And Danny Eflin said, you're running so well, I don't want to bring you in. A solid stop for the 3 car.
So a different strategy. Now we have another. Steve, I want you to keep track of all these.
I'll let you know as soon as all the cautions come out after the race. I'll tell you who had the best strategy. Did I do that? That's one thing I love about this job is I'll let you know as soon as it's over which one I would have bet on.
You would have chose?
That's right. But you see the 22 right here, Brad Keselowski. We heard him mention strategies and get off strategy with his teammate. You know, I know Marty was insinuating, and I don't disagree, that perhaps it was to give the 2 Penske teammates the best opportunity to win the race. But I also think Brad Keselowski wonders if he can outrun his Penske teammate, Joey Logano, because the 12 just seems to have more pace than this 22. And that's saying a lot because this 22 has a very good car.
Because of the different strategies, take a look at this. Very close for the 22 of Brad Keselowski there.
Ooh, that is a tough place to catch a slow car entering the inner loop there.
Now Keselowski trying to get by Trevor Bayne as he comes out of turn 1 into 2 and up through the S's. Mike.
And we're still awaiting Trevor Bayne to make his first pit stop of the day. His car has been pretty good, a little tight in the lefts, but needs to be better in the S's right now. We expect them to be on pit road within the next 1 or 2 laps as they stretch it as far as they can go.
Very close there. Around goes Trevor Bayne, getting into the bus stop.
Fired up, get around here.
That's a spot getting into the inner loop that it's very difficult for the spotters to see.
All good right here. All good right here.
Because the spotters are located just to the right of where that shot was, and you can't see if the car on the inside is far enough up. So when a car makes a move into that inner loop, somebody's got to decide, hey, I'm going to get out of it or not. You see the 22 in? It's kind of a late move.
I know, Jeff, it's a late move, but Trevor Bayne has to realize that the 22 is faster than him. Brad Keselowski showing more pace. The 60 still has to come to pit road. I agree it's a late move, but I really think if the 60, assuming Trevor Bayne knew the 22 was there, then I feel he should have let the 22 have the position. Now, that's an assumption. Maybe the 60 didn't know with the late move. Maybe he didn't get communication from his spotter. I don't know that. But if he knew the 22 was there, I would have expected him to concede the position to the 22.
And as I look at that, exactly. As I was looking at that, we see the 33 now on pit road. Parker.
Yeah, 33 there, Brandon Jones, very inexperienced on road courses. His crew chief, Mike Hillman Jr. said, our deal is just to run all the laps today, just getting fuel. Mike?
As we mentioned, Trevor Bayne saying he's awfully tight in the left. They're going to make a wedge adjustment to try to free him up just a little bit there. Also a 4-tire change. He went to work on the right side first, then to the left.
So 33 coming off of pit road now. Or excuse me, the 60 of Trevor Bayne coming off of pit road. I want to take another look at what just took place in the bus stop. Jeff, if you kind of break this down for us.
Well, remember, the bus stop or the inner loop, that is a place of passing. That's a place at the end of a long straightaway. So you can see right here, Keselowski to me, doesn't have a run on him. I mean, he has a run on him, but it's only under braking. So I feel like Keselowski pushed the issue right here. That I don't think that Trevor Bayne, that was his spot to have to lift. Now he could have, because he knew somebody was pressing the issue, but it doesn't look like to me Keselowski had that big of a run leaving the S's for Trevor to think that he was going to make that move.
Well, because all day long people are going to put their bumper out and show it to you, and you're going to have to drive in there and defend.
Without a doubt, Bayne could have avoided the incident. He could have conceded the spot, but Keselowski could have conceded that spot too. But the momentum wasn't gained on corner exit; it was gained on corner entry.
Gap from 1 to 2. Joey Logano to Kyle Larson. Just saw them go through the screen. Now Keselowski and Daniel Suarez, 3rd and 4th, making their way into the carousel.
Rick, this is why Steve and I were talking about it a minute. This is why drivers get into wrecks. Because it's a battle for position, and some guy thinks, hey, I got the spot, another guy says you don't have the spot. So, that's what competition is. It forces people into positions that, you have to make a decision at that last moment. In that situation, I'm not so sure that Trevor Bayne did anything wrong.
Well, one of the other things that I saw with that replay is that the line the 22 was taking, even if the 60 would have slowed down, the 22 was still going to go through that left-hander, and there wasn't any room for the 60 unless he would have went into the grass.
They weren't going in there too wide. Right?
Well, the 22 tried to.
Well, no, the 22 did, and the 22 succeeded.
Yeah, that's true.
The 22 knew when he pulled to the right and tried to outbrake the 60 that he was going to make the bus stop. The question is, was he going to make it with a 60, or was he going to make it by himself?
Brad Keselowski's teammate, Joey Logano, out in front. Kyle Larson running second as we go NASCAR nonstop. Welcome back to Watkins Glen, the 4th caution of the day for the Xfinity Series. This time it's the 78 of B.J. McLeod that can't continue. And so the caution has come out. In NASCAR Nonstop, we saw Elliott Sadler have an issue through the bus stop. He had flat spotted tires. That's not the angle you want to come through the bus stop in.
Wonder if he came and tried to get in there side by side with a 97 car, and Elliott's running 7th. So,
hey, Jeff.
He flat spotted his tires. Yeah, go ahead.
Jeff, he said, I didn't know which way the 97 was going to go. I'm sorry, guys. And so, of course, he tried to pit, but just before he pitted, before he wanted to pit, the caution came out and they closed pit road. So he had to take those wobbly tires all the way back around.
So this is, we've talked about it. The bus stop is just a tough area of the racetrack to go through by yourself, even more difficult. Not impossible, but pretty close to impossible to go through successfully too wide without somebody either ending up in the grass or spun to the right.
And the 78 wasn't involved in an incident or a crash. It was actually was not running up to speed. And so because of that, the caution comes out. Elliott Sadler will have to make his way onto pit road. Flat spotted tires for Elliott Sadler. 78 actually, A.J. McLeod turned off the track out of turn 5 or the carousel and went down toward the boot, which is an area of the track that's not used by NASCAR.
Took the escape route. The only problem is from that area you can't get back. You're going to see, and actually I'm going to applaud what B.J. McLeod did. He went to a safe area. Obviously he's not under power. This is downhill now, so he's going to get a little bit of speed. And we've seen some pretty severe accidents out of the carousel, very high-speed corner, so to get as far away from the racing surface as possible.
I've been down there in the boot before. It's just I was going backwards. High rate of speed.
So the carousel didn't work out as well as you were hoping?
I never saw it. I was going in it backwards. I drove out of it forwards. But.
You know, most of the places we go to, Jeff has a crash story.
He does.
I did it a long
That's
time.
good.
I did it a long time, and I wrecked a lot.
We love the experience. Let's flash back to 2009.
Yeah, this one I was wishing I was in the boot backwards. This one, Jeff Gordon and I, heavy impact into Sam Hornish. That was not a good time by any means.
See just how fast and how violent the accidents can be here.
Catch your breath.
Yeah, let's go with that.
The speeds here are incredible. We've seen as the cars are entering the bus stop, upwards of 100 in the Xfinity series, upwards of 170, 175 miles an hour. They slow all the way down to under 90 miles an hour. At least they try to. We'll take a quick break. Be right back with more racing from the Glen. 9 drivers already off the track in the Xfinity race. Might be making an early trip over to Seneca Lodge for dinner this evening. A very historic restaurant, bar that quite a few people will visit when they're in the area. A lot of history inside Seneca Lodge. And I think you have said before, if you don't visit Seneca Lodge, you've kind of taken away from the experience of visiting Watkins Glen. Next Saturday, the Xfinity Series continues their road course swing with a stop at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. The coverage begins at 3 p.m. Eastern on USA Network. Ian Smith actually won last year on a final lap pass of pole sitter Alex Tagliani. Maybe it thrown a little bit of the side of his car into Alex Tagliani's car to get by Alex, but did end up getting the win. Quite a few cars making their way onto pit road, one of those being the one of Elliott Sadler, Dave.
They get those 4 fresh Goodyear tires put on the one car, and that's for the balance. He said it was pretty good overall. I'm a little bit loose through the S's, but I wouldn't change a thing. They'll air it up just a little bit for the restart. Marty?
Dave, Kenny Hibbel will give up a top 10 spot here to come to pit road. Dave Ellens told him we're going to put on sticker tires here. Kenny wasn't very happy about that, but he said these will be likely the last set of tires they take all day long. Also, a lot of Sunoco fuel, as much as they can stand, Parker.
Justin Allgaier in the 7 pitting here. He's going to take 4 Goodyear tires of Sunoco fuel. He hasn't been very happy with this race car. Been pretty loose throughout the day, and going to try and fix the boot with pliers that he's been struggling with in shifting that car on the restarts.
So a lot of these cars coming onto pit road late, and good cars, obviously, with Elliott Sadler back there. But what that does, Steve and Jeff, is it's going to bottle up a lot of these guys trying to get to the front on these restarts, where we have already seen them be very hairy when they get through 1 and into 2 in the S's.
We have seen crazy restarts. We've seen a big accident in the S's. So when you see the 7 right here of Justin Allgaier, you just heard not in love with his race car, having a few issues shifting. Well, what all that's done is cycled him towards the back of the pack, as you mentioned. So not only is the restart going to be crazy, but he's going to have to find a way through that traffic up through the S's safely, not damage his race car. We saw the 22 barely get through the last big accident in the S's. We have a couple cars farther back in the pack that we expected to run near the front. They're going to have to be patient on these restarts in the middle of the race.
Still haven't got to the halfway point of this race. Let's go back to Mike Massaro.
Rick, Trevor Bayne waited until lap 31 before making his first pit stop of the day. Just 6 laps later, he was back on pit road. The car too tight. They made a wedge, track bar, and also took fuel, but no tires while they were here.
Darrell Wallace Jr. in the 6 has made his way back out onto the racetrack, but barely has a front clip on that 6. No hood, no front fenders.
It's a difficult track too when you have a crash race car off the pace, Jeff, to stay out of the way. You know, it's easy on the 3 long straightaways, but the S's is hard to get out of the way. The bus stop, the carousel is just 6 and 7 as close as those 2 corners are together.
It is such a fast racetrack when the closing rate is so high, because you think you've got a lot of distance between you and the guy behind you, but he catches you so quickly.
There's that 6, Darrell Wallace Jr. A lot of damage to the hood. We actually talked to Darrell when he was out of the car, but now back behind the wheel and back out on the racetrack.
And I think one thing also, you have young drivers that don't have a lot of road course experience. When they come here and they have damage, they have a wreck, you really don't learn anything. I mean, you have to go back out for points and those kind of things, but you no longer have an opportunity to be learning. So not only is it about having a poor finish, it's about being better the next time you road race. And when you get a wreck on lap 15, you just give up so much experience, and that's always, to me, I think that's just so disappointing, because you just don't do that many road races a year.
Parker.
You see the 4 there of Ross Chastain up to 11th right now, but racing with a heavy heart today without his crew chief, Brian Berry. Brian Berry lost his father yesterday and had to leave the track, but filling in for Brian Berry is Johnny Davis himself, the team owner of the 4 car, the 01 car, and the 0 car, up there on the box calling the shots and putting them in P11 right now.
Teams will get the 1 to go sign when they get back to the bus stop area, so lights will go out there.
And Rick, we see a lot of cars taped up with damage. Well, how about right here, the 15 of Scott Heckert has had a lot of success in the K&N series, has 3 road course wins, 2 here at Watkins Glen, currently running in the 8th position. I know it's still early in the race with 44 to go, but obviously persevered through some rough times already. The hood's taped up, the fenders are taped up. Only 22 years old, young kid trying to make his way up through the ranks of NASCAR, Jeff. It's great to see him running in the top 10 today.
Yeah, and only 22 years old, he is the guy that in the K&N garage all the young drivers flock to when they go road course racing. You know, hey, what do I do here? Where do I brake? Where do I turn? And he has been, I mean, he has helped so many young drivers. He really wants to make his way in NASCAR. He's doing some road racing now when he's not driving a NASCAR vehicle, but he really wants to get back into NASCAR and have a shot at it.
And you see so much damage to quite a few of these cars as we're just getting up to the halfway point of this race. And we'll look back on how all of this happened.
Man, and it got busy quick to 18. He had damage without even getting into an accident. We see the splitter come loose on the 18 car. They had to come to pit road, repair it, trying to screw it to the nose to try to continue laps.
So where those repairs were made, then this took place.
On a restart, we talk so much about restarts, but on a restart ahead of this big pack, a little bit of contact on top of the S's. 509 heading into the wall, and all these cars behind him have a tough time getting through it. A lot of damage from a lot of vehicles from this one wreck.
Yeah, the 18, you see right here, gets heavy contact. He thought he was going to make it through. That ended Kyle Busch's day after a rough start with the splitter issue.
And a battle into the inner loop. We see how much trouble the inner loops cause all day. Two cars trying to get in the inner loop. Not enough room. 62 Trevor Bain spun around.
Yeah, and this is the only accident, or probably the last accident we're going to see in the inner loop. You see right here, Elliott Sadler said he just misjudged his closing rate on the 97. Ryan Ellis wasn't sure which way he was going. The Elliott Sadler spun himself around, flat spotted his tires. Was fortunate though, Rick. He got a caution, didn't have to pit under green flag. Currently running in the 16th position for this restart.
As they come through turn 6, 2x2 once again. They'll go through 7 and see the flag stand before the restart. Joey Logano on the inside, Kyle Larson on the outside, as they will rocket down the front straight and into turn number 1. Brad Keselowski, Daniel Suarez, Eric Jones, Paul Menard, Ryan Reed, and Heckert back there in the 8th position.
Orderly in the front 2 rows, 2 wide getting into turn 1. No one really jumps out of line, right? Well, I say that and they make it 3 wide and a car
4 wide.
Curb.
You said orderly and I got a smile on my face. There's 4 wide trying to get through 2 and they narrow down to 3 and 2, but up through the S's and so fast. What a great shot from the helicopter.
It's a real perspective of how aggressive you have to be on restarts. See Brendan Gaughan trying to make a move into the inner loop. Brandon Jones blocking him. Really give way.
2 wide. The inner loop, Brendan Gaughan able to make it work.
He's done that a couple of times already. Picked up 2 spots with that move. We saw him pick up 3 earlier in the race.
Spencer Gallagher in the 21 stuck on the outside now as they go through the carousel.
I think Brendan's theory is if he gets all the way to the right and gets heavy on the brakes, he knows he's going to make the bus stop. The guy to his left has to make a decision.
2 wide coming into turn 6. Sadler just in front of Spencer Gallagher. Kenny Habul off track, but back on line as he gets through 7.
Oh, big block.
Ross Chastain trying to slow down the momentum of the 62 of Brendan Gaughan.
I think Brendan's still going to try to take the spot. He's heavy on the brakes. It's hard to get down in there. Does a good job not making contact.
Shoved that 15 of Scott Heckert up the racetrack. Back up through the S's they go. Now Brendan Gaughan trying to reel in that 4 of Ross Chastain.
Brendan's pretty far away from the 4 Chastain. I'm not so sure he can make a move in the inner loop here. If he does, it'll be bold. 3 car on trying to make a move.
Ty Dillon looking at the inside. Number 33 makes the pass.
And the 33, in my opinion, Brendan Jones did a nice job there, really conceding the spot to the 3. He knew he was past the heavy braking point. You have to let him go, get in line to make it through the bus stop clean.
We'll see what Ty Dillon can do with Heckert now as he comes out of turn 5 and down into turn 6. We try to make the pass. He's going to stay behind him as they go through 6.
Talking about Brendan Jones, I agree with you. It's a smart move. It's his first race here in Watkins Glen, an Xfinity race. So being smart here, staying on the racetrack, very smart.
I know they're trying to use it as a passing zone, but that area between 6 and 7 where Tyler Dillon jumped out of line makes me nervous, Jeff, because I just don't know if the car being passed knows there's a car to his inside.
Yeah, typically it's required, a late move is required to make a pass there, and normally it doesn't work out well.
The 62 and the 4 have made contact at least 3 times, it seems like. I saw a hand out the window. Brendan kind of messed up the S's last time. We'll see. Oh, he's a little bit closer this time heading into the bus stop, Jeff.
Yeah, he's already committed to going to the inside. Chastain blocking. It's actually gave him the spot up.
Yep. Chastain realizes the 62 was a little faster, so gave him the position. Dave.
62 usually fast on the road courses. Brendan Gaughan, of course, with a win on a road course formerly, and that car had contact in the S's with the guardrail in practice. They went to fixing it and ran it basically unpainted yesterday in qualifying. But I talked to Shane Wilson, the crew chief, about it. I said, how bad was the damage? I said, would you call it cosmetic damage? No, it was worse than that, but it wasn't mechanical damage. I would call it deep cosmetic damage. And so they buffed it out and made the 62 very fast for today.
Take another look. That contact we were mentioning, and you see the hand being waved out of there by Ross Chastain in the 4.
Yeah, I think that's Ross Chastain saying, hey, I'm going to give you the spot when we get off from up the S's. Give me a little bit of a break. You're into my right rear quarter panel. And he did. He got to the top of the S's, pulled to the right.
Again, that was hand waving out the window of Ross Chastain. Great shot there by our camera.
And so you may be asking, why didn't you just give him the spot right there rather than waving at him? It's because of time. If you give up a spot right there, you have to slow way down to let a guy go, whereas opposed to on the straightaway, you can just slow a little bit and let the guy go, and it's more efficient for both of you.
And I'm telling you, this is some tight racing back here from the 33, really, all the way back to the 7. That's positions 12 through 16. They're basically nose to tail. Every corner, every braking zone, every passing zone, someone's looking at a line.
And you would think that the one car on new tires, that would be an advantage, but at this racetrack with a repave and this hard of a tire, I don't think it is an advantage to have new tires. So in many ways, it's a disadvantage. Older tires probably fire off a little bit quicker than his stickers did.
Scott Heckert, 22-year-old out of Ridgefield, Connecticut. In the 15, that yellow car just in front of this pack. Again, Heckert running in the 11th position.
Hey, Rick, sometimes it's not about actually trying to pull out to pass. You're just trying to put pressure on the driver in front of you to make a mistake. Try to get them to drive too deep into the corner, maybe wheel hop, maybe miss a mark, lose some momentum. So it's not just about, pulling out and out-braking your competitor, but see if you can force them into making a mistake. As we see the 3, though, I believe he's going to pull out and try to out-brake the 4 into the bus stop.
To the inside, and the 4 once again will tuck in behind the car getting by, which this time is Ty Dillon in the 3. And Dillon, another fast car on the road course.
I mean, obviously Chastain's car is not as fast as these cars, but he's doing a nice job of fighting them when he needs to fight them so that he can give them the spot, again, at a more efficient place. And that long back straightaway is a really good place to let somebody go without it killing your lap time.
39 laps to go out front. Joey Logano and Brad Keselowski. Team Penske running 1-2 as we go NASCAR nonstop. Tight racing for the lead, as you've seen on NASCAR Nonstop, between Joey Logano, Brad Keselowski, and Kyle Larson, 1, 2, and 3, as they continue to work their way around this 2.45-mile road course.
Rick, you see at the top of your screen, 36 to go. We mentioned the fuel window is 28 to 30 laps. The question now is, will someone gamble and come before? You know, if they know they can go 30 laps, you can pit with 30 to go, and without any cautions, you can make it to the finish of the race. But that's just too easy. These crew chiefs aren't going to do that. They're going to try to come maybe 31, 32, 33 to go. Oh, you hear the 22 of Brad Keselowski. He's going to pit with 35 to go.
Speeding, no speeding, no speeding, no speeding.
35 laps to go, and the 22 of Brad Keselowski on pit road. Very aggressive strategy here for this team.
And Rick, remember, we talked about them trying to get off strategy from their teammate Joey Logano. That's exactly what they've done here. In fact, Brian Wilson, the crew chief, told Joey Meyer, the spotter, go to that last number on your sheet. That's where we're going to pit. So pitting a little bit early here, hoping for some caution. It's going to be 4 Goodyear tires for Brad Keselowski and all the Sunoco fuel they need to get to the end of this race. They're hoping they can make it to the end of the race, Mike.
And Trevor Bayne is coming to pit road. This will be his 3rd stop in the last 10 or so laps on pit road. The car has still been tight. They're going to fuel him up, and that's it. He's away.
And you see, with only 5.9 seconds for that short amount of fuel, Rick, that should hopefully gain Trevor Bayne some track position as other teams stop and have a longer, say a 10, 12, 14, 15 second pit stop. Trevor Bayne will gain those 10 seconds on his competitors.
22-42 staying on track. Logano now decides it's time to come to pit road, so Kyle Larson, the new leader. Larson goes by on the outside. Daniel Suarez still out on the racetrack, and Suarez will move to second. Marty.
So just 1 lap later for Joey Logano versus his teammate Brad Keselowski. He said he felt like the car was just losing grip the longer they ran. He said it fired off really well, but it fell off really hard at the end of the run. They're going to undo the last air pressure adjustment they did, and Greg Irwin said, wait on me for the fuel. We'll see where he cycles out, Mike.
Paul Menard has been very tight in the S's. They're going to try to free him up with a track bar adjustment, raising that and also raising the air pressure. 2-tire change, 4-tire change, that is, for the 2 car, and he's away.
And I'm going to watch this 12 leave pit road down in turn 1 as we see the 2 leave as well. Remember, the 12 and the 22 keep battling each other on the racetrack, and as they leave pit road, you see the 22 here on your screen. Well, in front of them, about a second, is the 12 car. So I give success to the 12 as far as more efficient on and off pit road versus the 22 of Brad Keselowski.
What's going to be really interesting, too, is when Larson decides to pit. You know, because we've talked about newer tires not being as fast, you may actually run faster on older tires. So almost reverse of what we see at ovals with normal tires is that if you pit a little early, you can gain time. Here you may actually lose time on new tires.
And, you know, it almost seems like a Formula One race, Jeff, because as soon as you mention that, the 42 of Kyle Larson has run one of the fastest laps we've seen in the while. He ran a 71.9. Most of the leaders have been running around 72.30 to 72.40. So it seems like he got word, listen, we're going to run a couple extra laps, but you need to push and push hard. So when we come off from pit road, we can try to be in front of the 2 Penske.
That's right. If he can make time right now, and remember, he probably has clean racetrack because he's a leader of the race. These guys are having to go through the traffic that he doesn't have. So in addition to having better tires, he has clean racetrack. So quite possibly, if they have a good pit stop, he will come out with the lead.
We heard Kenny Habul talking about the harder tires.
There you go, pit this time.
Pit this time for Kyle Larson. He'll make his way to pit road. But I'm going to tell you that Suarez and Eric Jones, neither of those two have changed tires yet this race.
Yeah, and listen, for the 42 of Larson, he has to be careful on pit road. Remember, NASCAR has added speeding lines up and down pit road, so it's easier to speed now, especially on pit entries. So you have to make sure you're right at your limit, but don't go over it. Dave.
Larson pitted on lap 16. He did change tires that time. They'll change tires again. Goodyear tires all the way around. Sunoco fuel in the 42. Kyle gives up the lead to get this car to the end of the race.
And it's difficult. We talked about the backwards pit stops. You heard Marty Snyder talk about earlier. The cars come opposite. You have passenger side against the wall. It's very difficult for those pit crews, Parker.
See the 16 of Ryan Reed getting into his pit box right there. He started this race in 33rd. Why? Unapproved adjustments. He had flat spotted tire in qualifying and had to go to the back, but has marched his way steadily forward. It should be a 4-tire stop, 4 Goodyear tires and Sunoco fuel, and maybe a small air pressure adjustment for this 16. He's feeling pretty good about today.
It's going to be really close, Rick. The 42 is on the blend lane. We have the 12 car exiting turn 1. The 42 right here will clear the 12 and take over what isn't the lead right now because we're in the middle of pit cycles, but the lead of these 3 Cup regulars that we think are going to race for the win.
I'm totally out. I ain't even going to make it back.
Oh, run out of gas.
Oh, and he's not even going to make it back. That was the 20 of Eric Jones.
Just coming up to the bus stop here, which he's in a bad position because that'll be the racing line he'll be in momentarily, and he pulls off to the side of the track.
You have to wonder if he's out of fuel.
And the frustration inside the race car.
Completely out of fuel. They ran out of gas at the furthest point away from pit road. And the caution's now out, Dave.
Now his teammate Daniel Suarez pitted 3 laps later, so he should have been good and did make it to pit road under power. He did not take tires the first time he came down pit road. He'll get 4 this time and a full load of fuel.
And the big thing, Rick, is the 19 got to pit road before the caution comes out. Wise decision by that team and the crew chief Scott Grace to get his driver on pit road, seeing the 62 had to do a pass through. He didn't make it.
He didn't make pit road before the caution came out. They tried to get on pit road, but they determined they were on pit road after the caution came out. I'm sorry, after the caution came out. And so to not be penalized, he just passed through. He just kept going. He did not stop. So it's no penalty, but the spots he lost while he was on pit road, he'll give those up, but no penalty.
And this can be so frustrating. So you ask yourself, how can the 20 run out in the middle of the race? But this is what this strategy is all about. The 20 of Eric Jones pitted at lap 16. The crew chief trying to stretch it as far as possible. Wanted to get to his next number. And Chris Gabbert basically just went too long and ran out of gas.
Hey, Steve, they just talked to Eric on the radio. They said, I don't know what to tell you, bud. Those numbers are good. So the numbers they calculated between the engineers, the fuel that was in the can from the last time, and all the measurements they take, they thought they'd be good.
Well, it's so hard because they're gambling on yellows, and how much did the drivers save in yellow? Obviously not as much as the engineers thought, but this yellow, a big break for Eric Jones' teammate of Daniel Suarez. We saw the Penske cars pit and the 42 pit. Well, you see right here, Ty Dillon and Daniel Suarez is already on pit road, and you see the light switches to red with the 62 and the 3. The 3 has a penalty because he can't cross the line and come back on the racetrack. The 62, he knows the rule better. All he has to do is go all the way through pit road. So the race to pit road is difficult. Neither of these two teams made it, but Eric Jones stopped on the backstretch. It was a big break for right here. Daniel Suarez, you see the light right here is still green. Still green when Daniel Suarez goes by. And now the light will turn red as we see the 2 RCR teammates try to make it to pit road. They're trying to commit, and right there, it's red. They didn't make it before it turned green, so you can continue down pit road without penalty.
That's right, and Ty Dillon would have been much better served just to go down pit road. That blend line violation will now be the tail end of the lead lap. He'll have to restart. So had he just continued down pit road, the penalty wouldn't be as bad. He's going to have to pit anyway, though. So
yeah.
But all the cars that pits with him, he will have to start behind all those guys.
Let's listen to the 3 radio.
Brennan checked up so damn bad going in that corner. Dude just kept going.
Well, see, and the difference is this. So the 3 has a penalty. So no matter what he does, he will start at the tail end of the line. Brendan Gaughan, currently in the 6th position, doesn't have a penalty. While he had the same violation, he didn't get to pit road in time. The 62 just continued down pit road without stopping. He lost time to the cars on the racetrack, but NASCAR has allowed you to do that. It's really a safety
That's no penalty. That's no penalty.
Right.
No penalty in that.
Because he went across the commitment line. Once you go across the commitment line, you have to stay on pit road.
Yep.
That's what the penalty is for Ty Dillon, because he went across the commitment line and then came back out onto the racetrack.
He has a blend line violation. Right. He has a commitment line violation, as opposed to the 62 who just passed through and did not stop.
And these small nuances make a big difference, because it's going to be a huge penalty for the 3 to go all the way to the tail end. So you're going to see right here, the pit light is right here. You're going to see it flashing green as the 19 of Daniel Suarez commits. He is on pit road without a doubt under green flag conditions. All the crew chiefs telling their teams, get to pit road, get to pit road. You see at the top of your screen the 2 RCR teammates heading to pit road, trying to get there on time, and right now it's red. So as this light turns red, that means pit road is closed. So the 62, he can't turn left at the speed he's running. So he goes across the commitment line, knows he's too late, continues down pit road without stopping. That's why he doesn't receive a penalty. The 3 would have actually been better off to follow the 62 down pit road. When the 3 took that hard left back onto the racetrack, that incurred the penalty. I know that seems simple, but as a driver, Jeff, it's your responsibility to know the difference and what your options are.
Yeah, the 3, he would have had to make that decision before he got to that commitment cone and turn on the left side of that commitment cone rather than going on the right side of that commitment cone, because he crossed that line that NASCAR says this is your commitment line. You're either pitting right here or you're not.
Let's listen in on the 62 radio.
It's something about on pit road where, if you're at the start-finish line before the leader, blah, 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 or the commitment line if you're after. So, I should be at least in front of the 1.
They said 48 and then 88 here between them.
In other words, Spanky Goodyear in the black room, who's not looking out physically in the world, is making another call that he's not looking at. Check. Gotcha.
So, okay, Brendan has 2 rules confused.
Right. That's right. That's exactly right.
If you are on pit road and the lights go caution, you get scored to either the start-finish line or pit out, reference to the leader. That's not what happened here.
Still stop.
Yeah, that's not what happened here at all. What happened here is he entered pit road when they were closed, so he chose to continue down to avoid penalty. What the rule is clear. NASCAR cleared it up again this morning. We asked in the meeting that where the 62 leaves pit road is where he runs on the racetrack.
And he can't speed on pit road. He has to maintain pit road speed.
So I like the maybe start finish, blah, 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 maybe this, maybe that. And I like that Brendan knows there is a rule, but it's the wrong rule for this situation.
Yeah. He's trying to combine a couple rules.
Yeah, which I appreciate that. He's trying to, he knows somehow it needs to help him out.
And the other thing, in defense of Brendan, is we're going to see quite a few cars making their way onto pit road now, including the 3 of Ty Dillon. In defense of Brendan, he's worried about driving the race car right now and probably not thinking about the rules. Dave?
Elliott Sadler had tires put on the 1 last time. They're going to put tires on again and get that thing full of fuel. Parker.
Ross Chastain came into this race 24 points out of the chase with a lot of others having problems. A very solid run. It's going to be 4 tires in Sunoco fuel. Also, the 33 of Brendan Jones on pit road. It's going to be 4 tires in Sunoco fuel and a very big driver. 2 tires now and a driver adjustment. They threw a bag of ice to Brandon through the right side window.
A little bit warm as cars continuing to come off of pit road. After this stop, Kenny Habul, Heckert, Yaley, Barrett, Black Jr., Ware, all drivers making their way onto pit road and off again. Riding along with Kenny Habul. So Daniel Suarez stays out on the racetrack after pitting on lap 51, which was 2 laps ago. And we had mentioned Suarez made his way onto pit road before the caution came out, was already on pit road when the caution came out. He is allowed to stop if he's already on pit road.
So, Rick, it's very simple. He pitted under green. When he came to pit road, the track was under a green flag condition. Here's where the advantage comes in. He's on pit road stopping. The other cars on the racetrack running 100, 150 miles an hour, wherever they are around the racetrack, the track goes to a yellow flag condition. They all slow down. Daniel Suarez finishes his pit stop, rolls off pit road. He's gained all that time because the other cars are running slow. Now he has become the leader. Now, he was running 4th before this, so he was running well, but this has leapfrogged Kyle Larson, who is probably the fastest Chevy in the field, and the 2 fast Penske Fords. So this is good for the 19.
But listen, it is lucky that you get that caution right then, but it's also everybody, all the spotters around the racetrack and the driver and the crew chief are in tune. If we get a caution in this period of time, if we can get on pit road before the caution, you're looking for it on the racetrack. The teams are looking for it. If they see something they think is going to be a caution, they call their driver on pit road. So although it's a lucky break, it's also being prepared to take advantage of that lucky break.
That was a spotter stand just outside the bus stop. There's more spotters up on top of the press box here in front of the grandstands, and more strategy being discussed, this time with Joe Logano and the 12 team.
So what's the story like the 19? Those guys, same strategy as us? Somehow leapfrogged us, or?
Yeah, somewhere in the pit cycle, the 42. I don't know if they got on pit road any different or left any different, or maybe you had a little more traffic on your out lap than he did, but that's the same strategy as you and the 22. They just pitted 2 laps later.
And they pitted later. They were faster on the racetrack.
Yeah.
So that's how they were able to do it.
Another strategy, which we haven't talked about, but very heads up for Drew Blickensturfer on the 60. came and got tires, came down under green, took gas only. We showed it. It was a 5.9 second stop. Went from 16th all the way to 6th on that cycle. So that's a big gain in track position.
Now you have your track position. You have to have good restarts. You have to keep it or improve it.
And it looks like they're going to go around again, as they were 2 by 2. But the caution lights coming back on the pace car, as well as the flag being displayed once again.
And that extra caution lap only helps Brad Keselowski more. Remember, Trevor Brain and Brad Keselowski pitted at lap 47. They got to stretch that fuel tank, Rick.
They're going to take another lap. We're going to take a commercial break so that we can see more green flag racing from Watkins Glen. From the beautiful Finger Lakes area of New York and Watkins Glen International. Rough roads for some drivers today, including the 90 of Todd Bodine, Chemung, New York. Trevor Bain sideways through the bus stop. A little help from the 22. Ryan Reed airborne. All 4 tires off the ground as he was making his way through the bus stop. That has been the eventful area on this track today. As we've passed the halfway point, just 28 laps to go from Watkins Glen. Out in front, Daniel Suarez and Kyle Larson. Suarez looks to have chosen the inside line. Kyle Larson will be on the outside for this restart. The 2 behind him have been the strongest cars all day long, with Joey Logano and Brad Keselowski making up row number 2. How aggressive will they be with just 27 laps to go as they come out of turn number 7? The pace car makes the hard right turn onto pit road. Field back in the hands of Suarez and Larson as they come into the restart zone. Green flag back in the air. Great restart for Suarez. Checks up quite a bit earlier as he gets into turn number 1. That bottles him up a bit and allows the 12 of Joey Logano to get by Kyle Larson. Here comes Keselowski now. 2 wide through the S's. We've seen that doesn't work out very well earlier today. And here comes a big run by Brad as he will make the pass on Kyle Larson at the top of the S's.
Will they get through the inner loop? We talked about it before the restart. Kyle Larson's team did a great job on strategy of getting him out in front of those guys.
Way wide for Daniel Suarez. He's going to lose the lead to Joey Logano.
We talked about trying to push someone into a mistake. It looked like Daniel Suarez knew the 12 was back there and just entered the inner loop too hard and lost the position.
Before even one lap's complete, the guys that were on the front row with the best fuel strategy are working their way towards the back. Missed that corner just a little bit.
Well, I know
the door open.
We talk a lot about strategy, Jeff. You still have to have good race cars, and I think this just proves how good those Penske's are. Those Penske cars are.
And you can't discount the fact that these 2 race on Sundays for a reason. very, very good race car drivers in Joey Logano and Brad Keselowski, as they've both been able to get by Daniel Suarez. Big block there by Kyle Larson. Trevor Bayne didn't want anything to do with it, so a little bit of bumper exchange there from the 42 and the 60.
It's not over yet either. Kyle Larson, he was a big save.
I feel bad for Trevor Bayne. We saw him get into it with Brad Keselowski earlier, and now with the 42 of Kyle Larson.
Daniel Suarez trying to hang on to third, as now he has the 2 of Paul Menard all over his back bumper. We'll see if he can keep it down low through the carousel. He does this time.
Paul Menard's in great position heading to turn 6, though.
Yeah, he's got to run. He's gonna poke out here just a little bit.
Watch Larson and Trevor Bayne back behind as they go into 6, side by side. And again, it's been a little bit hairy between these two. Larson now has the preferred position, and Larson makes the pass on Bayne. Now here comes Bayne. Look at the inside once again. Trying to get back to the inside of Kyle Larson. He has the preferred line as they go into 1. This is where the contact was made the last time by. Bayne trying to stay in front of Kyle Larson as they get ready to go up through the S's.
Larson's car does not seem to be handling as well as it was before this caution.
And these are 2 of the drivers we're going to see tomorrow try to race for the chase at the Sprint Cup level, trying to run double duty, get the extra laps today in the Xfinity race.
Here comes Elliott Sadler making the move on Ryan Reed as they go into the bus stop.
Ryan Reed got high up on top of the S's, lost all his momentum. Still under pressure. Allgaier into 7, trying to get underneath him in the carousel.
Mike.
Just want to point out that this is Trevor Bayne's first Xfinity Series race since Homestead of 2014, and there's a reason, Rick, they picked this race. They wanted him to get acclimated with road course racing so that he'd be a little bit better on Sunday. Their goal today was so that he would be able to race up front with the leaders, get a better understanding, something he can translate to Sunday afternoon. That has been successful so far this afternoon. Dave?
Mike, Kyle Larson just radioed his crew. Big trouble on the track, Rick.
Yeah, the 70, Derek Cope. A lot of damage to the front of that race car. The hood flew off, it looks like. But a lot of bracing damage also underneath the hood. And the caution comes out now for the 6th time.
It's got a flat right front tire and the hood's off this car. It's obviously had some sort of issue.
Hood not off, and he's missing the bus stop. Oh my goodness.
Up and that thing just exploded, the whole nose of it. I don't know what that was.
He was slowing down through the bus stop.
I'm going to admit, Rick, I am baffled.
I've never seen a motor blow like that.
Is that a tire? Did the tire blow?
I mean, the right front tire is flat,
completely blown.
It looks like
it almost looked like both tires blew at the same time to have that big of an explosion.
Well, I think the left front tire still has air in it. The right front tire definitely exploded, and then the black dust you see, I really think is brake dust.
Brake dust.
I think that's all the brake dust that builds up in the front of this car.
That tire then just exploded.
Yeah, I mean, this shows you how violent. Normally we see a car moving when this happens. Jeff, you'll see a car rolling when a tire explodes. You'll hear it.
Look at all the damage. I mean, the car comes in, the nose is torn up on it. I mean,
and he was about stopped. I mean, he was coming through the bus stop, slowing way down. Take another look at this. Very strange. As Derek's out of the car.
But there's no nose damage. There's no damage to the car right here.
And it looks, I mean, yes, the right front tire is blown, but it looked like that came from the left side of that tire, or the left side of the car.
We wonder what happened. I bet.
Yeah, Derek, I'm sure, is wondering
poor Derek is
what happened.
Baffled. I'm like, I don't even know what to say. I don't even know what to guess happened there. I've never seen anything like that.
So they'll hook up to that car.
It broke the nose on it.
Right.
It blew the nose forward.
And look at all the crew members also trying to figure it out. So many times they'll be watching the broadcast to see what kind of damage was done or how it was done. We're going to watch it one more time. And again, almost stopped as Derek Cope.
I mean, you don't see any flames. you know, if it was some sort of a fuel explosion, you'd see some sort of flames, I would think. So it had
just blew the hood right off.
Marty.
And guys, the only thing Derek said was going into turn 1 last time, he said the brakes got spongy and they told him to be careful. So that's the only thing he ever said about something that might be wrong with the car, is that the brakes got, quote, spongy.
So we're going to go NASCAR nonstop while everyone tries to dissect what just took place with the 70. Under the 6th caution of the day from Watkins Glen for the NASCAR XFINITY Series. 22 laps to go, and we want to get some updates from pit road. Let's go to Marty.
Let's chat with Greg Irwin, who's got his driver Joey Logano in the lead. So how does he keep his teammate behind him and win this thing?
Well, you know, it's been pretty fun up here the last couple years. 12 and 22 have been slugging it out, you know. Same thing as last year. You know, I think Joey's a little better in a couple spots. Brad's a little better in a couple spots. Very equal equipment. Two very skilled guys. Hopefully they're having fun. Do something good with this Snap-on Mustang at the end of the day, I hope.
Seems like he's losing grip the longer he runs. Does that concern you on a longer run?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't, you know, these cautions are probably going to help us a little bit, help everybody with the fuel mileage. I think we have good fire-off speed. Joey does a real good job of restarting, but we've been fighting that all weekend. Pretty consistent, I think.
Team Penske trying for Xfinity Series win number 1 of 2016, Dave.
Scott Graves is the crew chief for young Daniel Suarez. He got swallowed up by a couple of fast veterans there. What does he have to do here? Can he get back by him?
I think so. I mean, I think he's learned so much throughout the weekend here. Obviously, you look at how much time these guys have in front of him. I think he's doing a great job. And ride behind him here for a little while, learn what they're doing. Maybe he'll be able to use that and get in front of them. And we'll see. Just want to thank Eris, everyone at Joe Gibbs Racing. Really strong cars here this weekend, and see what we can do here.
Strong day so far for Suarez. Mike?
And the pit strategy devised by Justin Alexander for Paul Menard has worked out flawlessly. You can go the distance, including green-white checkered. And the question is now, can you get by those cars in front of you?
Yeah, I think so. The Richmond Menard Chevrolet has been fast all day. We lost a little track position there with the pit cycles, but we've got it back now, and we're better than the 19 car ahead of us, and we'll see what we have for the 12 and 22.
We'll see here. Paul Menard looking for another road course win. He went to victory lane at Road America a year ago.
We want to take a look at our Toyota driver update. Daniel Suarez currently running third. J.J. Yaley in 16th and Dakota Armstrong in 17th. 2x2 getting ready for the restart. Logano and Keselowski making up row number 1. Green flag back in the air. Eric Jones got the lucky dog on the most recent caution, so he gets back on the lead lap. They fight for the lead. Brad Keselowski in the 22, trying to get by Joey Logano in the 12.
That's a good thing. Row 2 is side by side up to the S's also, where Paul Menard would have had a huge run on these two.
Who outbreaks the other the best? Logano had the preferred line. Keselowski has to check up and let him by.
What an impressive job of those two Penske teammates, though, to run side by side all the way through the S's.
And now through the carousel. Keselowski putting as much pressure as he can on Joey Logano, and Paul Menard just behind him.
Be interesting to see if we get a late race restart, if they'll be that nice getting into the inner loop. Oh, Brad gave room to the 12 of Logano.
Inner loop. I'd like to see if they're that nice all the way up to the S's.
Again, like they just were. Great racing between Joey Logano, Brad Keselowski, Paul Menard, Daniel Suarez back and forth.
And the 22 is going to look right here. This is a perfect example of trying to get in just a little bit deeper. Just couldn't do it.
One thing they don't want to do is take each other out, running for the same team with still 20 laps to go. Joey Logano out front, Brad Keselowski running second. Menard, Suarez, Bain, the top 5.
You heard that rev chip. He shifted really late. You heard it hit the rev chip for just a moment.
And this is really what you're looking for. It doesn't matter how many cars can run up front, but you want at least a car to push the leader. You don't want to see a leader to be able to just run off from the pack and hide. And that's what Brad Keselowski is doing right here, is putting pressure on Joey Logano, continuing the pressure, trying to get 12 to make a mistake.
And while Brad's trying to put the pressure on Joey Logano, Paul Menard's trying to put the pressure on Brad Keselowski. Through 6 and into 7. And then back on the front straight. As they come by the start-finish line, 19 laps of racing to go from Watkins Glen. Take a look at the 3, some major issues here.
We just got in the inner loop way too hot. Now he's going to have to work his way back on the racetrack through the grass.
Doesn't look like he tears up anything on the front of the car, but you don't want any grass or dirt getting into the radiator and potentially overheating the car.
You heard him talk about, sticking to that strategy, but part of that strategy was just staying on the racetrack. You start pushing, trying to make up spots. It's easy to make a mistake here.
The lap times of these two leaders are amazing, how close they can match each other's lap time.
It looks like Logano a little bit harder to get through the carousel than Brad Keselowski, but he's still able to stay in front of him enough that Keselowski can't get a good run getting into 6. And you see this. The 21 goes around, the 3 caught him. So Spencer Gallagher spins coming out of 7 because the 3 got into the right rear quarter panel. Marty.
Rick, it's interesting to watch these two Team Penske cars duel it out for the lead here. And Joey Logano knows that the beginning part of the run is where he's better. Greg Irwin mentioned it a moment ago. They fire off really well, but he's been falling off at the end of the run maybe more than he wants. And Keselowski knows that as well, so he's trying to put as much pressure on his team as he can. And Jeff, you know as a driver, when you're the leader like that, you know you're maybe better on the front end of the run, you want to get away. When you can't, it's frustrating, isn't it?
Oh, no question. You saw Brad Keselowski right there trying to put the pressure on Logano, got really loose up through the S's, so You need to take advantage when your car is as good as it can possibly be. At the same time, if you can take it a little bit easy now so it makes your car better later, that's a wise thing to do also. But with Joey Logano getting this much pressure from Brad, it'd be hard to make that happen.
Let you know that the driver of the 70, Derek Cope, was checked and released from the infield care center, and NASCAR has actually impounded the 70 to try to figure out what just happened with that car. We saw the tire blow on that in the front end, almost blow off of the front of the car of the 70. So they've impounded that car as this great battle continues for the lead.
And what a great shot, so we can really understand where they are on the racetrack. Right now they're coming onto the front straightaway. Again, with the passing zone into one. Brad's got a little bit of a run on him here, but not enough to make a move. You can see him look a little bit. It's more just saying, hey, I think I might be faster than you, but it's not really an aggressive move to make the pass. But big run off of one. Joey made a small mistake. He can't afford a mistake starting up through the S's.
Brad Keselowski all over the back of that number 12. Keselowski then loses some distance that he had there, had to slow down. He was on the back bumper of the 12 and lost all of that ground.
But that's a great example of how you can be faster than somebody at a particular part of this racetrack, and other than let you gain ground on him, you can't pass him. Even though Brad was quicker, there's nowhere to go. You can't all of a sudden just turn to the right and get on the inside of him up through the S's. So that's just kind of bad timing. Had Brad been away from him a little bit and gotten momentum, then he could have made a run on the back straightaway, but because he was right on him, he couldn't take advantage of it.
Yeah, this track is really broken up into 3 passing zones. You're seeing one right here. This is a passing zone out of the carousel. The next passing zone comes on the end of the front stretch. So it's the combination of turn 6, turn 7. You got to have a great exit out of turn 7. You see a wiggle in the wheel for Brad Keselowski. He's not going to have momentum into turn 1, so now he's going to have to try to time that run up the S's to think about the inner loop.
That's right, and he's thinking about pushing turn 7 to have as much speed as he can, because he just saw Joey Logano make a mistake in turn 1, make a mistake up the S's. So now Brad's thinking, this is where Joey's not as good. I've got to be close to him. If I can be close to him in 1, maybe I can force him into a mistake and take advantage of it. So that's what this is all about. It's about obviously making the best lap time possible, but where you're fast matters. If you're fast in the wrong place and you can't pass, it doesn't help you. You have to be fast at the right part of the racetrack.
Once again, very fast through the bus stop.
Watch his really interesting grooves. The 12 car, he doesn't stay right on the wall. He does this time. Of course, I was getting ready to talk about it, but we've seen him give a lot of room, not be right on the bottom in the middle of the long right-hander, as opposed to the 22 being right on the bottom. Joey's been given a little bit of room and making a good run on exit.
Keselowski looks to be the faster car right now in this run, just not able to time it out perfectly to get the pass. We'll stay on this battle as we go NASCAR nonstop. the 2016 Rio Olympic Games. Women's rugby preliminary round. USA versus Colombia following this Xfinity Series race on CNBC. Rugby back in the Olympics after a 92-year hiatus. USA is actually defending Olympic champions in rugby. Last Olympics was back in 1924. USA won the gold over the team from France. That was men's rugby back in 1924. Great battle continuing. You saw it all in NASCAR side by side. NASCAR Nonstop showed you the battle continuing between two Penske drivers. Joey Logano out front in the 12. Brad Keselowski running in the 22. Looks to me like the 22 quicker, but just can't find a way to get around Joey.
Well, the two of them are putting on a great display of driving. I agree, Rick. I think Brad Keselowski is a little bit quicker, but not in the right spots to make the pass yet. With Joey Logano, just ice in the veins, just continuing to run lap after lap, not making the big mistake that Brad Keselowski is looking for.
A little bit of contact here between teammates.
This is where we saw him going up through the S's where the 12 had trouble, and there's nowhere for the 22 to go. So he got into the back of him a little bit, but could not take advantage of it.
Marty.
Guys, it's been sort of a rough year for Team Penske on the Xfinity Series side. They do not have a win so far in the Xfinity Series in 2016. And one of the reasons is Brian Wilson, the former race engineer for Brad Keselowski, came over and ran the Xfinity Series side this year as a crew chief for the 22 team. One thing they wanted to do was to change the components they put inside these race cars for the chassis, all the stuff, and make it just like the Cup Series side. Previously, that was not the case. Now, the reason they did that, and it's been a big learning curve for everyone at Team Penske, is because they wanted to translate setups from the Xfinity Series side to the Cup Series side. Jeff, you know, it's a tough transition to make, and you guys know this, but it is helpful at the end of the day. That's why likely they don't have a win so far in 2016, but it looks like they might get one now.
And you certainly want to be able to use the Xfinity cars to help your Cup cars, but you also need to win on Saturdays. You need to ultimately have it so the cars can win. The cars are enough different. There's a big horsepower difference. There's differences in front suspension. There are enough differences where I'm not so sure you can use exactly the same stuff because they are different. They require different things. So be interested to see if they ultimately can work that out, because if they can work it out, it will be a benefit to them.
Dave, how about the highest scored Toyota right now, Daniel Suarez?
He's picked up, while looking at the 20 of Eric Jones, he's picked up 10 positions since the resumption of the race. And just think about the weekend for young Eric Jones. Last weekend, he was celebrating in Victory Lane at Iowa. This weekend, he is struggling at his very first road course race ever in the Xfinity Series. Yeah, he's got 5 wins on the ovals, but this is his first road course. He was so disappointed when he qualified 13th. First time he hasn't qualified better than 12th this year. And then to have everything happen today, running out of fuel, having issues on the track, it's been frustrating for him, but he's passing cars now and trying to hone his craft because he has 2 more of these coming up in the next few weeks.
And Rick, that plus 10 is even more impressive because Eric Jones just got the wave by. So he basically was the last car on the entire racetrack. So not only has he passed 10 lead lap cars, but he's passed a whole handful of lap down cars.
And he's also locked into the chase. So for a guy who admittedly says he needs to get better on road courses, I'm okay if he had to go to the back and work his way and pass some guys and get himself in difficult situations, because the goal is to leave here better. The goal is to learn more, and sometimes when you get yourself in a difficult situation, you do learn more and you come out better. So I saw how frustrated he was, and I don't blame him. I'd have been frustrated too for running out of fuel, but when this is all said and done, he's learning and getting better, and that's the end goal.
Flag stand. Flagman telling him 10 laps to go. The final 10 laps of the race. As Brad Keselowski peeked to the inside. Wanted to show the 12 of Joey Logano just how close he was as they were getting into the bus stop.
Okay, so now they're in the carousel. This is the part that we've seen Joey Logano be able to outrun Brad on corner exit. Brad beats him through the middle, but then Joey gets him off the corner and is able to pull away from him. So that really hampers Brad's ability to get Joey where he is weak. Joey's weak in turn 1. To take advantage of that, he needs to be close to him now. He needs to be close to him coming off of 7. But because Joey's good in the carousel, it prohibits the 22 from being close.
Well, I actually think the other area that Brad Keselowski has an advantage is the exit of 1 through the S's. Yes. We've seen a couple times he gets all the way to Joey Logano's bumper, but at the wrong time. Rick, he gets there, but he has to actually lift out of the throttle a little bit. This is what he needs. He needs to enter the S's about a car length back, gain that car length with momentum right here up through the S's to try to beat the 12 into the bus stop.
That heavy braking area of the bus stop. We've seen Brad look very strong through the S's. Got into the chip there again before he shifted into fourth.
There's no question that Joey Logano knows that Brad Keselowski is a little better in some areas, and Joey knows if he makes a mistake, Brad's going to be right there. Brad's not letting him breathe at all, and that's what you have to do. You have to keep the pressure on. If you space yourself back and you don't keep that pressure on, it makes Joey's job so much easier.
Smoke coming out from behind the 22 now.
I think the track bar. I agree. I think the track bar may be broken.
I believe so.
Yeah, it is broken. Look at it tracking sideways down the straightaway.
Yep,
got a track bar problem.
It looks like the track bar. What the track bar does is it holds the rear end housing, both rear tires. It holds it centered in the car. So you see right there how much the housing is shifted one way, and the body shifted the other, Rick?
Yep.
As that breaks, the body moves left to right. He's going to be very careful because it's going to rub through a tire.
He says something's loose in the back. It's probably the rear end moving around in the back of the car.
So we see right here going through the inner loop. He goes up over the curb, and he goes to make the hard left to get the change direction. And watch the rear end housing. It shifts in the car, and you're going to start to see smoke as he goes back to the right. That's because the right rear tire is all the way out against the bodywork.
So rubbing that right rear tire. And because they make so many right-hand turns here at Watkins Glen, the possibility exists that if he can't go 8 laps, he wants to, but he could wear through that right rear tire.
Well, the interesting thing is that he can make the pace that he can make. I mean, when you see the rear end moving around like that, it's hard to imagine that he can go as fast as he's going. Look how far the right rear tire is outside of the body. So, listen, I think you got to call it a day here. It's just not worth having something break and having Brad Keselowski get hurt.
It's amazing how fast he is able to run with that broken track bar mount. You see that rear end shifting around like you guys are talking about. But Brian Wilson, his crew chief, said if it doesn't get worse, stay out there as long as you can. So they want him to stay out there and try and get a finish. Remember, this is a team trying to win an owner's championship in the Xfinity Series as well. So giving up a little bit early is not in their mode.
Well, the problem, Rick, is it's not just the rear end moving back and forth. There's a drive shaft connected to that. There's an oil tank that could be coming into contact with the truck arm. There's a lot of issues that could happen as he runs around this racetrack at these highest speeds with a mechanical issue.
And remember, it was a little over a week ago that he experienced a bad accident at this track in the Cup car when he had no brakes and went through turn 1 and into the wall.
That right rear tire was all the way outside of the fender, and the fender was actually digging into the surface of the tire. Look at that right there. See how far it's out? Now the quarter panel is actually into the center of the tire. That tire cannot take that the entire race.
So much smoke coming out from behind the 22 as that tire continues to rub.
Bring it to us if you want to.
Yep.
Your call, but it's getting worse as we run here.
You said bring it to us. Suarez gets by. They're going to notice once he comes to pit road that rear end is shifted. So what was a great battle between Logano and Keselowski. Keselowski will now have to bring the 22 to the attention of his team on pit road. Logano now has Menard behind him, but almost 4 seconds separate the two as Keselowski's going to have to bring the 22 to the attention of his crew. Marty.
Coming slowly down pit road after being so quick on the racetrack for Brad Keselowski. It's going to be a disappointing finish of the day, but they certainly want to make sure he is okay. They're going to take on right side tires. They have a crew member looking underneath who's trying to diagnose if it is indeed a broken track bar mount on the 22. They asked him to push it in, and actually Brad stalls the car as he comes in. You see the crew members laying on the ground to see what is underneath, and they're saying indeed that track bar mount is broken underneath the car.
Everybody's signaling that there was a break. Under 6 laps to go now for Joey Logano. He has almost a 4-second lead.
Some kind of track bar issue, Joey. Some kind of track bar issue on the 22. Just take it easy, no more than you have to.
They're letting him know.
So the cars are built the same, so take it easy. Don't be on the curbs anymore than you have to. Save fuel. Be smart. Don't put any more stress into that rear of the car than you absolutely have to.
Following this race on CNBC, the 2016 Rio Olympic Games. Women's rugby preliminary round.
Keep working it.
USA versus Colombia. We saw the 21 of Spencer Gallagher go around. Five laps to go. Logano was on pit road last at lap 48. should have plenty of fuel to make it all the way around the final 5 laps. Really have an issue with Paul Menard. Again, Menard will try to close the gap. It's about 3 seconds now between Logano and Menard. No cars in between the two. You see the gap there. Paul Menard now under 2 seconds. As they come through 7 this time, it'll be 4 laps to go at the Glen. 4 laps is about 10 miles. They need 10 miles of fuel.
Look how close this is right here. The 21 spins in front of the leader. The 12 goes around him, but he loses time to the 2 of Paul Menard.
So the gap closed just a bit.
And that's really it. When you look out the front windshield of the 12, he has the pace, but look at the traffic. 3 cars right here in front of him. You catch a car at the wrong time, you can lose a second in a road course pretty easy, Jeff.
And he's about to catch a few cars as they enter the bus stop. Definitely changes his pace, as Paul Menard will also encounter a couple cars going through the bus stop and into the carousel.
Yeah, it actually looked like it hurt Paul Menard worse. He caught him too wide in the middle of the bus stop.
Logano able to clear the lap traffic as Paul Menard has that gap between he and the 12 of Joey Logano. A dominant performance today by Joey Logano, if he can finish it. Already has led 63 of the 78 laps. Logano swept here a year ago. When Logano did win here, as we see on the left side of the screen, the 22 back on pit road. When the 12 did win here a year ago, or Logano did, it was the 6th win already this season. This will be the 1st win for Penske if he's able to hold on. Marty.
And you see his teammate Brad Keselowski sitting on pit road. They will call it a day here. He actually went back out, and then you diagnosed that the right side track bar mount is indeed what broke on the 22 car, so he's going to be done here on pit road.
It's disappointing. Those 2 guys are putting on a great race, and it would have been really fun to watch as the laps wound down, the intensity level ratchet up, and how the 2 teammates were going to race each other, because, again, we talked about it several times. There were definitely areas that Keselowski was better than Joey on the racetrack, and Woody's ever going to be able to take advantage of that, I don't know, but it was going to be fun to watch.
Once again, Logano coming up on some slower traffic. We'll see if that enables Paul Menard to close the gap. 13 trying to stay out of the way. Stanton Barrett in the 13, and he'll see the blue flag with the yellow stripe, the move over flag. Letting him know that 2 guys are racing for position. 1.3 seconds, the difference between Menard and Logano. Logano just has been so strong today.
And you wonder, is Logano pushing his car to the limit? Paul Menard has gained over 1.5 seconds on the leader, but it seems like Joey Logano is either one, much more in control and just taking care of his equipment, or perhaps is losing that grip in the long run that we heard earlier.
The bus stop. And Paul Menard times it out a little bit better here, as he will move to the inside of the 28 and be able to get by Dakota Armstrong. Going through the carousel. Through 6 and 7. Paul Menard running second. Joey Logano. This will be his 66th lap led of the 81 that have been run. One more time around as the white flag will fly. 1 lap to go. Sponsored by Credit One Bank.
Not a lot of traffic out front, Rick. I think it only comes down to fuel. We expect the 12 to have no issue with fuel, but we also saw the 20 run out of gas earlier, so you never know where there could be a miscalculation.
Amazingly enough, as strong as Team Penske has been throughout the year, they have not won a race in the Xfinity Series. And today it was a dominant performance by both Penske drivers, Joey Logano and Brad Keselowski. Logano started 12 races between the last time he was at this track and today, but had not been able to find victory lane. This time as he works his way through 6 and 7 for the final time today. Joey Logano comes out of turn number 7. He'll see the checkered flag, his 26th career win in the Xfinity Series. Logano wins at the Glen again.
Yeah, guys. Awesome. Way to go, 12 team. That's right.
Good job, Joey. Way to hold on to that thing, man. Nice. Super day, everybody. Thank you.
Paul Menard, Kyle Larson, Daniel Suarez, and Trevor Bayne, the top 5.
Good job keeping us clean.
Only contested today by Brad Keselowski before they had a track bar mount break. And in the end, Joey Logano dominant. And he will make his way around to victory lane again, which he is very familiar with. Won this race last year, ended up sweeping the weekend. He's got the first one out of the way, the Cup Series tomorrow. As hard as the tires are, Joey Logano puts on a heck of a show as he does a burnout right in front of the grandstands along the front stretch. And enough fuel to do a burnout as well. The official results are going to roll across the bottom of your screen, but also we'll run through the unofficial results. Joey Logano, Paul Menard, Kyle Larson, Daniel Suarez, Trevor Bayne, top 5. Elliott Sadler, another top 10 finish, finishes 6th.
Yeah, big day for Ross Chastain there in 14th, gained a lot of points in the chase standings.
Eric Jones came back to 12th after running out of fuel. He ended up getting a lucky dog, came back to 12th.
Kenny Bull finishes 17th, and just a couple races that he runs during the year. Brad Keselowski, after the issues with the car late in the race, ends up 24th. On back, involved in the big crash, Todd Bodine finishes 34th. And Joey Logano, deservedly putting on a show for the fans here today. A great crowd on hand for the NASCAR Xfinity Series race from Watkins Glen. Logano making his way through 1. Donuts will continue as he enjoying his time on track. It's been a while since he's won, a year ago in the Xfinity Series.
Yeah, and the first Xfinity win for Penske this season. That has to be a big relief for the whole Penske organization trying to improve this Xfinity program. But something about this place, Rick, these Penske Xfinity cars so fast here at Watkins Glen.
And remember, he won in the Cup Series race a year ago as well to do the sweep. We'll see if he can do that. Again, the Cup race tomorrow will be on USA Network. Make sure to join us for that as Joey Logano makes his way back into victory lane from the Glen. What a day he has had. Led 67 laps. As he makes it into victory lane, you'll notice the left rear tire is flat after that burnout. Mentioned a great crowd on hand. Really, this is a cool victory lane here. The building, the media center right in the infield has that balcony overhead where fans and cameras can go up top and watch the celebration. be a part of the celebration. Marty.
Well, Rick, this is becoming a familiar sight. Joey Logano wins 3 in a row here at Watkins Glen. His tradition of pulling the steering wheel out of the car when he brings it to victory lane. And I've got to know, though, your teammate was behind you. It looked like he might be able to catch it. Were you a little worried there for a while?
I drive really, really hard. Brad was, I think, faster than me. It's I remember last year racing here, and whoever was out front was faster, or sorry, was behind was faster, just because of the draft. So it was a lot of fun racing there with Brad. I was running as hard as I can, trying not to make mistakes, but what an awesome win for Team Penske, getting this Xfinity car in here. Snap-on, 30 years, it's just awesome. Discount Tire, SKF, Fitzgerald, Shell, Pennzoil, Wheels Up, Coca-Cola, obviously. This is awesome. It's been a long time coming for the Xfinity team here on the Penske side, and get this 12th group together that, you know, doesn't race very often, but Greg Irwin leading it, and having my 22 guys from tomorrow pitting it today did a great job as well. So looking forward to tomorrow.
That's 3 in a row for Joey Logano here at Watkins Glen. He hopes tomorrow he can make it 4 in a row. Rick.
Thank you, Marty. 2 o'clock tomorrow on USA Network. Sprint Cup Series countdown to green, then the Sprint Cup Series race. Also on USA Network. That's at 2:30 from Watkins Glen. Coming up next, women's rugby. Preliminary round, USA versus Colombia.
This copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of NASCAR Broadcasting. NASCAR would like to thank all of our fans for your support, and we hope you enjoy today's broadcast.